That's the guy I worked for.
Okay.
but that's his father.
Right, yes, this is his son.
Yeah, thanks.
So,
Okay.
yeah, they've been fighting with him to get him off the,
Now, I've sent all my stuff to the Hassel Island.
Look at my field.
It's the Treasury Reserve or
do tours out there now to show the coal yards.
Exactly.
And all the stuff in the forts and stuff.
they didn't
that are
have
out there.
photos of the stuff I had and they wanted them.
Good.
So
Here in New Hampshire 3 years ago.
when I wrote them, they were surprised to find somebody who had lived there.
Yeah.
Go into the high school.
It's funny, the day you said, oh, I used to know Zora. She's still there. I think
She's
gotta
still
be close to-
going?
Yeah, she's gotta be
good
close to
word.
90. She's gotta
Because
be.
I can't
mean,
get her
when
up
you
on
see her,
video.
you go,
She's still wearing a circle pin?
And I'm trying to
I
get
didn't
through to
notice
her
that.
to
They just
see
get her
if she
on
can hear us.
speakerphone or something, or the.
She played the French horn
Okay.
in the,
So the video is not working, but the audio should through Zoom.
VI,
Because she was connecting, but she just not connecting through the projector.
Okay, so we can talk. She
So
can hear
I
us
just
and
sent
she
her,
can-
I just sent her a text to make sure that she can hear us. I haven't heard back from her yet. She was kind of attending as an aside in case we had further questions. So I think we can start the meeting.
All right, so I apologize. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:12 PM. And I think we have Bob Reagan's going to be out tonight, so I'd like to appoint Bill as the alternate. But I think Lee was going to try and make it here at some point. So there have been
There are some changes to the agenda. Before we get to the agenda, I'd like to introduce Tricia DeRoche. She's the new planning secretary. So she's learning and joining us for the first time tonight. So just wanted to
Good luck.
welcome her aboard.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it's a sin or a promise, but you'll figure that out.
So there are some changes to the agenda. Listed under, on the second page, under other business, 3A. I would like to move that to the beginning of the agenda under number 1 and call it 1B. That has to do with that discussion.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. The other change is to case P 2123. Ryan L. Heath LLC. Originally, when the application was submitted, he was the agent for Ron and Doreen Charles. He is now currently the owner. And those are the only changes I have.
I'll
Mr.
make a
Chairman,
motion, we accept them as corrected.
I'll second that.
Sorry,
motion. We have
Oh,
a
no
second.
problem.
want to move it along.
Any discussion?
What are you referring to?
We didn't do it
It was
because
on
they
the-
asked to be. Yes,
Correct.
the application was
Yeah.
proposed, but they didn't show up for that time. And there was a reason for it.
Any other questions or comments on the agenda?
Aye.
Thank you. Roger?
Aye.
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 All right. So we do have an awful lot on this, as you guys can see. So we're going to hopefully try and get through this reasonably smoothly. All right.
Some
So,
question is the one not asked.
first one on the agenda is the joint meeting with the Master Plan Committee. Now, and
So,
So-
Mr. Chairman, I'm the vice chair of the Master Plan Committee. Bob is not here tonight, so I'll take over presenting that.
We have other members too.
Yeah, and the other members is Paul and Kelly.
They should come up.
They don't have to, or whatever. But
they should.
I think they should too.
Yeah. You guys want to come up and sit at the big table?
the guys say, come up.
Especially let them be part of
Is,
it. because
Kara
they
Yeah.
look at it.
on audio?
Part of it.
So Tara can see us and hear us.
Okay.
Um,
You just can't see her, that's it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Evening, Paul.
So just wanted to go through this. What you've handed out for talking points are a little different than what I've got. But you can follow along for the proposed schedule for 2022. So starting December, coming up right after Thanksgiving through April, the members, and we have members of the committee are going to take on the drafting and getting together the information for the master plan for various sections. And so we'll be working on chapters 3 through 5. And I'll get to where 1 and 2 are in a second. In May, by that time, we can do a draft action plan. So the way it works is chapters 1 and 2 are vision and goals. And then 3 is natural resources. I think 4 is infrastructure. And what's the 5th one? I forget. That's
Chapter 4 is land use.
land.
And chapter
Land-
5 is
Land use
infrastructure.
is 4 and 5 is infrastructure.
So we have this.
Yeah, so it looks like
Yeah,
this.
I'm
It
jumping
says
around a little bit.
Talking
so,
points.
Roger, I'm jumping around a
I
little
know,
bit.
I don't
so-
even have what everybody else has.
He's not jumping.
It says
talking points.
I don't have a talking points.
We got skipped out of that one.
Well,
I don't see it.
You have mine.
Yeah, I may not have one of those either.
It was an addition to the packet. It was an
Should look
addition to the
like that.
packet.
It
was on the table.
I put it on the table. I put it on the table when we
Oh.
got here.
When I got here? Oh,
Walton Planning Department.
Well, I'll give mine.
That's what you gave me right here.
Share between you.
Did I not give that to you?
I'm sorry.
Oh, make copies real quick.
Can want me to make copies? Is there?
Yes, please. This copier,
Yeah,
right in the
sure.
lobby.
Hang on. She's gonna make
okay,
copies.
here,
Yeah,
take that back.
that way
Thanks.
everybody's on the same page.
My apologies.
Quite all right. It ain't like you ain't got nothing to do with this, you know.
No, no.
so she burning off some copies.
She is.
Actually, you probably can continue because they know it.
Yeah, okay.
Got copies.
So, but like I say, we do the drafts of 1 and 2 are in draft form, 3 to 5, we got to do between now and April. And basically what we have to do is gather information and get some volunteers who would be particularly knowledgeable. For example, I've got to do historic resources. So Marty Cornelius, I'm going to reach to him to help me with that. The natural resources, we have the natural resources inventory that is being revised in the Conservation Commission. And we have a bunch of other resources for that. So I'll assemble all that and write it up as best I can. And then Tara gets that and she can work it through. So it's, like I say, it speaks with one voice. We can't have this thing being written by, a whole bunch of people that won't come out right. So we're basically doing the boots on the ground stuff for Tara. Then basically, once that's done, and then we'll have a draft action plan. And the action plan is recommendations of what we think we should be doing, okay, in the master plan. And then in June, we'll have a public input. We'll have I believe we're scheduling a public hearing, right, Jessica?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be in June. So we'll get input from that and then we'll use our, the way we got the survey done, we'll advertise it that way and make sure that, we get a lot of input for it. Then in July, based on the public input, we'll make a final draft submission to this board, to planning board. And by the way, you'll see the stuff all the way along. You'll see it as it comes out as drafts and stuff. So you're not going to be waiting till the last minute to see something. That wouldn't be.
It also will be online.
Right.
Good.
And then, so we will revise it with public input and then put together the final draft for submission to the planning board. And then, so in August, we're shooting for having it to the planning board for review and comment. If there's any further comments from the planning board, at that point, we'll revise it again and then give it back to the planning board to vote to adopt it, sign it, record it with the town clerk. So the master plan is a product of the planning board. And the way, once we all agree that it's what we want, when the town clerk signs it, it's official. That's how it goes. Timing is to ensure that the completed master, this is important, the completed master plan can inform the CIP, which Frank is here tonight to talk about, and Zach, which you guys are on, for potential 2023 warrant articles. So we're actually going to use the master plan. If we have to do something on warrant articles in 2023, the master plan will have informed that decision-making and what they should be. So it's a lot of work, but I think everybody's up for it. And I think Tara's been great. She's
Yeah,
been
Tara's been really,
fantastic.
really.
been really helpful.
Done
to
a
us.
good job.
So just as a
Nice
recap, the number of responses to the survey was very good, as you know. And there was over 800 responses. And as Paul has pointed out, that's like what our normal voting.
That's
Sometimes better.
that's better than our normal voting.
Average
That's,
is seven,
a little more.
over
Yeah,
seven,
that's why I was so surprised when you said it, that it's
Yeah.
more than what we get for voting.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So I think that may help. And the other thing is, as you know, that we reached out to certain constituencies in town and really tried to get them to respond. We actually called them
Well, whatever
An
you
email
did worked great.
and said, not only do we want you to respond, but get people that you know who think like you do to respond. So we did that. We tried hard. Let's put it that way. So here's how we're assigning threes, the way the work is going to go. Jessica is going to provide overall coordination for us and sort of keep us organized, right?
Yep.
Which you're good at. So
Very good at.
so chapters 1 is introduction and the vision in chapter and vision. Chapter 2 is priorities for the next 10 years. So it's the goals. Chapter 2 is the goal.
And they are all based on what the input already has been.
And that's what this is?
Okay.
So what do you do? Go back out for more,
Well, when we put it all together,
surveys?
when we go put it all together, we won't be doing any more surveys. We'll say, here's you, we got your input. We worked on it. Here's what we created. What do you think about it? And so there's a,
Can I just interrupt you for a
yeah,
second? So where's the information that you got?
it's in chapter 1.
Oh,
In here?
All the
Yeah.
responses.
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah, there's a summary of it
Yeah,
in there.
it's
It's
in
not
there.
all,
So what the people's fed you back is in here.
right.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
what
it's
we-
right up front. And then we explained how we got that
Yeah.
information. So,
So you got it from that, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 52 pages of comments.
yeah, but in the, that, I think that will probably be an appendix, the whole thing, but the summary of it is distilled in one.
Yeah, that's a good idea to leave as an appendix because that way everybody can see.
It's
how
always
you
attached and how you arrived at it,
Instead of
yeah.
Say, oh, they were doing their own thing. No, this is.
Yeah,
what they
we
said.
really want to
Right.
guard against that.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
we certainly aren't doing our own thing. We're really doing
Yeah.
listening
No,
and
I think you-
No,
responding.
that's the way to
think
do
you're
it.
on
I
the
think
right
it's a
path.
great
You're doing a
idea.
great
Very
job
good
with it.
turnout.
And I
Yeah.
think that was the good benefit of having a consultant.
Yeah.
So having that third party that's not connected to staff or, townspeople
And
or a
it's-
specific board.
It's hard for
Nothing to
Have-
gain from anything.
Exactly.
It's hard for
Yeah.
anybody to say they're doing their own thing when you get 800 people on a survey.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty good for the,
For this town.
for different surveys.
I
that
think
we
for
get,
any-
that's pretty
For any
good.
town in New Hampshire of this
Yeah.
size, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
So I talked about what I'll be doing. I got assigned 3. Tom got 4, land use. I think you helped write that one before. But you're gonna have to reach out.
I'm working with Tara.
And getting a bunch of input for that. 5 is infrastructure, and there's a lot of pieces to infrastructure, okay? So Amy Teravecchia, we got community facilities. Kelly Sullivan and Jill Hauser is a volunteer for recreation, right? Let me know if I say something wrong. Okay. And Paul is transportation and water supply, Paul La Rochelle. And then Bob is gonna go do IT. And then the action plan, based on all the stuff that we provided to Tara, she writes this stuff up. And then in chapter 6, she drafts an action plan based on what's in the other chapter.
You've collected.
Yeah. And then
That's
we get a
good.
chance to look at it.
We need something like that for the Zach, because, sorry to interrupt, but we need to write some ordinances. Where do you start?
Yeah.
Want to think about
Yeah.
consulting or something to come in, because sometimes it's cheaper to pay a little bit and get the
I'll go
right
into that
people in the right.
Well, one of the other things is there's going to have to be an
Well,
ongoing master plan committee. that
Yeah,
works
I'll get to
year-round.
that. I'll get to that.
Yep.
So we'll be soliciting volunteers to help with gathering information and the production of documents. And so we have to reach out to the community and get those volunteers to help us. So as part of this, we need to have the planning board's approval to amend Tara Bamford's contract from 15,722 to 25,000. That's the full amount that was authorized at town meeting. Because she's basically spent everything up to her contract now, but we authorized up to 25, so she
Is
can,
25 going to be enough?
yes,
It is.
For
because
now.
that's for
Right,
her
right,
help.
right.
There's another warrant article that we put in. We estimate that it'll be $9,000 for more public engagement, production of the document and graphic design and printing and so we got a warrant article that was
Does that-
So that'll be for 2022 vote.
that would be a 2022 vote, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Is that going to
Yep.
leave enough play in there in case it goes a little over or?
Yes.
We're not using a lot of play.
It should.
Well, that's what I mean.
According
Maybe
to
you should
Tara,
ask for
it's-
12,000 or something to,
Carol gives
Make
us an
sure you have that.
itemized, she gives us an itemized invoice monthly, I think.
Yep.
But it's itemized, I mean, it's to the T. So we tried our best to figure out what we would need going forward.
right, well,
According
that's,
With as little
according to
play as
Tara,
possible.
9,000.
that's why I'm asking, because
According to her.
sometimes it's easier to ask for a little extra in the beginning than
Yep.
it is to come back and ask because I don't have enough.
She
Right.
felt comfortable with that.
She
Okay.
felt comfortable with that, and actually it's a little more, so, and it's in case.
Another point on the contract right now, talk to Liz about whether these funds, if you sign a contract, I'm pretty sure they can be carried forward into the next tax year. But just be sure that you do it right, that you
Depends
know.
how the warrant article's written.
Right. So
Well,
this warrant
That's
article
why I'm
was
saying,
good.
go to Liz and get it, make
Right.
sure that you're not messed up.
It was good until 2024 or 25.
Okay.
So the money had to be expended by
But
then.
I
then
think
it
you may
lapsed.
still have to encumber it annually as you go along, but I'm not sure, but.
Yeah, we
again,
don't.
Check with Liz to
Yep.
make sure you just
That
don't.
should stay right in
Yep.
there until 24.
Right.
Jessica has been working with Liz on this and the drafting the warrant
We
article.
have a
Yep.
lot of interaction and communication with each other, with other department heads, and within the community. We really tried outreach, like above and beyond with everybody. I myself spoke to Harry Bothwick at the block party. So anybody that knows Harry knows that was.
Oh, boy, do we
a
know
feat.
Harry.
But we left nobody out. It's about complete like transparency and just working to
Exactly.
get this,
That's a
you
good
know,
thing.
it's for the town.
And talking with
So-
every department.
Yeah.
And including every department and
Yep.
everything, all its wants and needs and where we need to go.
And I personally called Lauren Carr. And he said, you must have drawn the short straw. And I said, no. I said, no. I said, we want this is exactly what I said to him. I said, we want your input and please do. And he said, I will. So great. So anyway, this last point, and this is what Tom was alluding to. I'll read it. We believe the master plan is a living document. It should be evaluated yearly by the planning board. And I'll editorialize here. It's kind of like a business plan. If you don't pay attention to it, you got a plan. If you don't pay attention to it, what good is it? You should revisit it and say, how are we doing? Should we change something?
Yeah, because something may come up and hit you in the face and say, well, gosh, we really made a mistake. I mean, you can't do that. So, yeah.
But how often have we ever even looked at that?
That's what it's all about.
So,
It's supposed to be a living document. That's what this last part alludes
so the
to.
last sentence here
Continue.
is, we think a standing committee like the CIP and Zach should be developed next year to actually do that evaluation. It can be a committee of the planning board that says, what did we do? Did Zach actually to make some zoning changes as it was recommended in the plastic planning board, does in the planning document, or the CIP. Are we actually following CIP? Are we actually using it properly? And that's it. So that's just an example, but there's other things like conservation land, for example. We'll have goals in there for conservation land. Are we doing it? And if we're not, why? Should we change something, So anyway, so that's it. And I guess, do we have to, are you going to try to vote on?
So there are,
Those
so there's
things
two
tonight?
things that the planning board needs to vote on tonight. One is the amendment to Tara's contract. And two is to approve the wording of the warrant article that I had given you guys. I don't know if you have a chance to take a look at it. It was the warrant article and the rationale.
Before we
Mr.
move on
Chairman.
to that, though, can I just ask a couple of quick questions?
Sure.
Where is housing addressed?
Housing would be in infrastructure.
Under infrastructure, okay, because I don't really see it
We're not
called out.
overlooking it, I'll guarantee you.
No,
You what?
It
We're
will
not
be.
overlooking it.
Oh,
it's
I
definitely gonna
trust
be in
that, but
It's in there.
That was a large topic of our last meeting. as
Yeah.
well. So,
To
yes,
include it.
yes.
so you've highlighted community facilities, recreation, transportation, water supply, and information technology.
Yes.
I don't
And
see
actually,
housing.
housing will be on our next, just wasn't drafted in time for this meeting.
Okay.
But at our last meeting, that was an add-on because we realized that it needed to be in there. So while you don't see it, it was added on, just happened
Added on to
after
the
the
Good
fact.
point.
Okay.
And we're gonna assign that part of that to the alternate housing group.
Yeah, thank you, because that committee is really gonna be.
You're current.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
there's
needs to
gonna be a
be.
lot of movement in that
Yeah.
direction.
And there's some overlap there as well with the land use.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then when it comes to the $9,000, and I know that Tara says that that's plenty of money, but one of the things that always kind of sneaks up on you is when you have to go print all of this stuff up. And has anybody considered printing costs?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
It
That
is-
is,
it
that
is
is
in there?
included in it,
Excellent.
yes.
Okay.
That would be a big.
That
piece
would
of
be in
that.
it as well.
Great.
But one of the things that we would try to do is to try to make it available electronically more and advertise it that way.
Yeah, so they print it out at home, not here.
Yeah.
Or read it online too.
But there will be printed copies. And then, if it gets to a point where we've run out or something like that, either we'll ask
disagree with it.
for some more things to be printed or just run them to the machine on black and white. If you have to.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move to increase Tara Bamford's contract from $15,722 to $25,000.
We have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roger?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Virgil? I abstain. Bill?
Aye.
Drew, aye.
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 All right, and we got that Virgil abstained from that.
Right.
Okay.
Just make sure
Because
you
you have
sign
to.
this before you leave tonight.
Okay,
Oh.
don't let me leave until I sign that.
I have a question on this warrant article. Who drew this up?
Liz.
Yeah, so I sat with
Because
Liz. So
I
sat with Liz and
disagree
drew
with
it up.
taking money and spending it out of the unassigned fund balance. That money should be being put right back to the taxpayers, not be spent.
Right, so.
The fund balance should be.
That's right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be spent like
So
this.
as the planning board can look at this and vote on it as is. And then when it gets presented to the selectmen, at that point, the selectmen can choose whether or not that, these funds, come out of that unassigned
Well, you
fund
wouldn't wanna
balance
try
or
to
not.
fix it instead of having us deny it?
So then if this doesn't come out of the unassigned fund balance, then it affects the tax rate.
It's gonna affect the tax rate, whether it comes out of the fund balance or not.
Right.
Yeah, the thing
gonna
about
affect
this fund
tax
balance is I always refer it to selectmen's funny money. They get it, they can spend it how they damn well please.
Right.
That's a problem. It should be, the voters should be interactive to this, vote on these things that they want to do, and they'll pay for it.
Right.
So
I mean, there's
What we
certain
don't use,
things,
put it back to the taxpayer.
certain things that they can spend it on. It's either emergencies, you know, specific warrant articles. I mean, it's not kind of like a willy-nilly sort of.
But we
slush
have
fund.
$2 or $3 million in
There's-
our emergency
there's
fund.
Some specific things
Oh, wait a minute.
that can be spent on.
We've been keeping 2.4 in there. This year's tax bill is almost 2.7. So now we've got to up that.
Yep.
Keep 2.7 in there.
Which that's the maximum allowed, right?
No, 4 million. They want,
Oh, wow.
they want almost 7 million.
7 million, yeah.
We don't want to go that high. 'Cause that's like a bank account.
We don't go that high.
Yeah,
Be banking taxpayers' money,
right.
but
Especially where it's earning them next to nothing.
the way we've always done it is we use the fund balance or the surplus. And we take some out of that account to bring it down to whatever we got in there, we bring it down to what we need to cover the tax bill. And then, and we put it back to the taxpayers. And last year they started this thing, let's pay all the
Right.
warrant articles out of it. And that's, to me, that's wrong because when it ain't coming out of taxation, which this is telling you it ain't coming out of taxation, but you're getting taxed on.
Right. Well,
One way or
because
the
it can
other.
be used to be offset.
No matter what, it's
Right.
taxpayer money that ends up paying
It
for
should go
it.
back
So,
on your tax rate to lower a tax rate.
so my question to you, Jessica, is that if we approve this tonight as written and the selectmen then rewrite, it still has to come back to us again.
We won't rewrite it. We will deny it. That's what usually happens. We don't get into writing.
Or a condition,
We can put conditions on,
propose a condition.
but we don't, it would be, say,
You won't stipulate the source. So-
right, usually we vote to say either we accept it or deny it. We don't vote to reword it.
Okay.
That's why I'm mentioning it now, because
And that's not what I was informed. That's all I'm just saying.
we don't reword it. We just vote to either yes or no.
Not usually, but we can vote as putting in a condition on a certain article.
Not usually. Usually we vote yes or no for money articles. There's no rewording them. There's no nothing. We vote yes or
This
no.
was-
Jessica,
this
you
was
did
written
work
with her
on this
with
with Liz.
I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, let's try
As of last year. to
let's
use
try and
fund
keep
balance.
one person talking at a time if we can, just so that we all can hear each
Well, I
other.
was just clarifying that Jessica did work on this warrant article with
With
Liz.
Liz, yeah, that's what
Okay.
I was just saying.
And to your point, Virgil, that may be what you usually do. It may not be what you are actually permitted or allowed to do.
Oh,
From
we're
based on
permitted.
what I think Liz and,
Right, and that's what I'm telling you is, as a selectman, we are permitted for yes or no. We cannot reword warrant articles. We can vote yes or no.
okay. And that's not what you understood from Liz, is that correct?
Right. So there's another warrant article through the highway department that's written up with the same language. So at what,
I'm just-
so at what point
I'm just
as,
telling you now that
the
I'm
thing
gonna
about it
vote
is-
no on warrant articles that are coming out of the fund balance.
so at what point as a selectman, when they're handed warrant articles, can they decide, hey, you know what, I think we're gonna take this out of the unassigned fund balance? How does that work
This,
if this, it's not suggested for you to take it out of
this
that?
started last year, and I
Still know the
disagree with it
process.
because when it goes to the voters, when you say it ain't coming out of your tax money, they usually will vote yes. It doesn't give them a choice. They're automatically gonna vote yes. And I disagree with that. And this started last year, taking it out, all the warrant articles out of fund balance.
As I
They
said,
have-
it's funny money.
If I may. They have, when we've had warrant articles come through before, like Virgil says, most time we say yes, no, but other times we've also talked with Liz and gotten through the warrant article by discussion and not necessarily changing the writing, but discussing where the funds would come from. And actually resolve it at that point.
Okay.
We
What if
have
we-
done that in the
And I
past.
think
if
that
we-
might
we-
be the
since we have some-
understanding.
Yes,
Time, I think. Why don't we think about tabling this and going to the selectmen to ask the question, how do you want it written? And I think
If
that
we
would
do-
solve
do we
it.
have
That
the
way it'll
time?
come to the Board of Selectmen in an approved manner.
Do we have the time?
don't know
Yeah,
if
they
we
have
do.
to be, these warrant articles will have to be sent
By
sometime in
January?
January.
January 11th, I
During-
think.
we have a
during
little
like the-
time.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay,
does that
so
make sense, everybody?
our December meeting, we could do it.
Right.
Yeah, just if you could clarify that with, we don't want to get it shot down, quite frankly.
No, no.
Well, that's why I'm saying that
Well, so
I know,
I'll just ask the one.
I mean, if that's what the board
Yes.
wants, that's what I'll do.
Well,
I
we
just, I
should vote on it.
disagree.
We should-
I disagree, but that's okay.
That's fine. You can disagree.
Yeah.
This world is meant on.
It has
disagreement.
happened,
We
yes.
should not carry
Yes.
swords as a result of it.
I'm sorry.
I mean, because sometimes like, Virgil might have an opinion,
Mhm.
but the rest of the selectmen don't agree with it.
That's right.
Yeah, well, that
Oh,
does
that's
happen.
right.
That's why I'm saying,
That's right.
that's why I'm saying
Find
we
that
have.
difficult to believe.
Exactly.
So, all right, so let's kind of,
Let a
let's,
five-member board there.
What
They
I've
can
been
vote
saying
yes
is
on
we
that.
have discussed
Mr.
warrant
Chairman,
articles
Yeah,
and we
Paul,
have changed.
Paul.
already. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to table this to the December planning board meeting, asking the selectmen about the conditions of the unassigned fund balance, using that, or should it go to a strict article to be funded the normal way
Through taxation.
through taxation?
Okay,
Well,
do we-
this is still through taxation, even though it's unassigned fund balance.
We have a meeting
I
tomorrow.
Because you should be getting
So-
that money
I
back.
understand that, and I think probably because
Yeah.
most voters go in, they probably don't. They don't look at it the same.
yeah.
Well, then,
So-
then we're deceiving the voter, which is a
So-
bad thing.
Right, no, we don't. want-
Scott, Kelly, Paul, I don't mean to be rude, but we're actually now on the board and
It's a
you're,
motion
With
on
the
floor
board,
that needs a
with the,
second.
I have,
So-
we have a
Yeah,
selectmen's
guys-
meeting tomorrow night. Would the board like me to bring this to them?
that's, well, we're about to vote on that, or I need a second in order to determine
second.
whether, so we have a second from Russ. So any further discussion on this?
So what's this, what are we voting for?
To table this to our next meeting so that the opportunity to get some feedback from the selectmen.
About what the article.
So
should
it's
be
worded properly.
And that Virgil is gonna take it to the selectmen to discuss it at their meeting to see which way they want to have
Back to
it.
what he's saying, we gotta vote.
Yeah,
Yes.
well,
So-
that way we're not
So,
waiting.
Right.
We go a couple weeks here with no meeting.
okay. So we have motion
Just
second.
say aye, Scott.
Yeah, we don't need to. we
I'm
don't
gonna
need to
say, Scott says aye.
do an individual vote.
Abstain.
You're abstaining, Bill?
Aye.
Drew,
Aye. Aye.
Thomas, I, Russ. Okay, thank you.
Nice job, though.
All right,
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm more concerned about the board, not always agreeing with Virgil.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, is Tara off the line now? Is that?
I believe Tara wanted to continue to listen in on the next, the
Oh, the
CIP and the
CIP.
ZAC.
She's probably on, on the YouTube. Yeah,
great.
okay.
All right.
Good.
Okay, so number 2 on the agenda. So the,
Yep, so you got your procedure.
yep, I've got my procedures for the CIP. So, so we start off with reading the public hearing notice. Yeah, so we had provided this notice hereby given for public hearing to consider CIP plan of 2022 as proposed by the CIP committee to be held in Alton Town Hall at 6 PM on Tuesday, November 16th, 6 PM, give or take, at the planning board meeting. Copies of the plan of the 2022 are available at the hearing as well as at the town's website, www.alton.nh.gov, or can be picked up in the draft form of the Town Hall Planning Department during regular business hours. All right. So at this point, review and discuss the CIP plan. So who wants to walk us through?
We have a brave volunteer stepping
Yeah.
forward.
So we get Frank Rich, who is our CIP committee chairman again this year.
Boy,
Is,
Frank, 2 years in a row.
As long as he gets it
Hi, Frank.
down there.
Hi, how are you,
I'm well, thanks.
gentlemen, ladies? I'm here before you as the chairman of the CIP planning, CIP committee. And as of last year, when I came to this board, we have worked diligently. And I must say that Jessica Call has been incredibly instrumental in helping us to further this along. And I bring you a report that I'm pleased to report to you that in general, this is our recommendation to the planning board in terms of the capital improvements that will go out for the next 5 years. And it's just following up from last year, from the year before that last year, and just moving it forward. And this report brings it to 2027, which is about 5 years out. We met with each and every department head over the course of a couple of months. They were very forthwith and all of them very organized in trying to share with us their capital needs. And as we know that the capital needs have to exceed a certain amount, I think it's $25,000 in terms of the need. In terms of the equipment and whatnot. I want to I want to express to you again, as I did last year, this report has nothing in it that has capital improvements for buildings and grounds. It's important to recognize
No
that.
buildings then.
No buildings. Okay, this is just.
Wow, I see some scary numbers.
But it does include the highway construction, okay?
The road reconstruction.
Road reconstruction, which is the significant part of
Highway
this,
block grant.
report. And I will talk about that a little bit further in just a second. But in this report, all of the departments, with the exception of the highway department, all of their requests, all of them, fire, police, IT, administration, planning, buildings and grounds, parks and recreation, all of their requests were duly noted, and they're in this plan going forward through to 2027.
But you're also, their request, whether they're adding equipment or saying, I want this later, or is it replacing the equipment we have?
In some regards, it's replacing the equipment. In some regards, it's adding equipment.
Because it's like making a wish list for them, is what you're doing, because you're adding equipment that the town hasn't even voted to add. And you're putting money away now for it.
We are.
So
As
to
we have
me-
done, as we have done.
Well, to me, if it's a wish list, then you vote it down, because CIP was set up to replace what we have. Not to have a wish list to say, I'm gonna buy a loader and I'm gonna buy a whole new setup for Jones Field
No,
on this year.
it was also set up for all the fire department needs. We know that we're going to have to replace X, Y, or Z.
That's right.
So that is something that is needed.
That's right. But it's not to buy a dozer for the highway department that they want to buy in 5 years from now. And you start putting money away when we haven't even said, yeah, we're going to get a dozer, and we haven't had the people vote on it yet. So it makes it into a wish list instead of you're putting money away for stuff that they might want. I mean,
So money
Yeah,
doesn't
a
get put away
Bobcat-
until the voters vote on it. So that they need to look at something in order to vote it in or not.
but most voters are uninformed. And when you take a list like this and you got, I'm just going to take this one.
Then they should
Bobcat
attend
L28
meetings.
small articulated loader that the town does not own. Does not own, which makes it a wish list that they want to buy this. And we're taking the taxpayers' money and putting it in the bank in this list. When this was, the CIP was designed to replace equipment we have in the needs of the town.
Well, it's also for anticipated needs too.
Right.
It's
Right.
not just a replacement, but if there's something that comes up and there's a piece of equipment that Public Works needs and knows that they're going to have to do, it means it's something worthwhile putting in there and explaining to the town.
It's called being fiscally responsible.
The street goes both ways.
Yeah.
Virgil's right, but that wouldn't work in regards to the IT program because we're not replacing stuff in the IT program because we don't have IT.
No, we're building it.
Well, we're building it, so.
That's right.
So that's a wish list, but I see what you're talking about with that.
We're adding-
I was against that.
We're
We
adding-
have all that equipment.
That's right. We're adding new equipment that the people haven't even voted on yet, but we're taking their money this year and putting it in an account, in a bank account,
So.
for stuff that we don't even own.
That's
And we
not-
haven't even
so
voted to
that's-
buy it.
What
That's
if the
not,
master- What if
that's
the
not-
master plan came up and said, you know, we really need to replace the fire station that in the next 10 years, it's going to have to be a new building or something.
Then you would put it in front of the voters.
It would be in the master plan. Because, you know,
Yep.
that came out from that, and it came from the CIP, let's say. And then, so the CIP gets presented to the selectmen, right?
Yep.
And then, and we've got it, it matches the master plan. It says that we wanted to build a new fire station in the next
That's right.
10 years. Wouldn't that be covered in this?
We would also put a warrant article out to have the people vote on to put the money aside.
Yeah, the thing about it is the voter, I think, is the key element.
That's
here.
right.
You know, I mean, you can say we need a new fire station. The fire chief can say he needs a new fire station.
But the
But
voters,
sometimes the voters say, no, we're not going to buy you a new fire station.
and you don't put their
And that
money,
happens time and time and
and you
time
don't
again.
take their money and put it in the bank account and up their tax rate when they haven't even been asked.
okay, can I interject here for a minute, please, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
So this plan, can you please go to page 3, for example?
3 of 12.
This has to do with fire department equipment, capital reserve fund. So the amounts listed on this, so the deposit amounts are in green. So for 2022, $450 is going to get written into a warrant article to be on the ballot for 2022 for the voters to vote for those funds to get put aside.
Is that a
So
separate
nothing
warrant
right
article,
now-
or is there a catch-all that catches all of it?
So there's nothing right now that is being deposited into an account without the voters voting on it.
But you're taking this plan
This is just a tool. It's just a tool
and
to
they're voting
use.
as one umbrella of CIP.
They're voting on it, on individual warrant articles. So the fire department has a warrant article. There are
Highway will
other,
have one.
there are other things like the highway department
But-
has a highway department equipment.
But when we bought the grader, we put a warrant article out, we're buying a grader. And let the people decide. Now you've got in here, you want a loader.
Well, no, wait a minute. I'm thinking.
So are they gonna vote down the whole thing because they don't want the loader, so they lose out on all that, the rest of it?
I don't think do the voters actually vote on the CIP? They vote on these warrant articles that flow out of the CIP.
They do not
Correct.
vote on the CIP.
That's what happened,
That's
right?
right,
It
yeah.
comes, so the warrant articles get written from the items that are in the CIP.
This CIP is a tool for you, the selectmen.
That's right.
Right, but you
But-
don't give it to the voters to vote en masse.
No. But you've got stuff in here that they should be voting
Well,
on.
they are, because it's anything that's in green.
That will be an article that they have to vote on.
And they're gonna see the whole list. And they're gonna know what's down there.
I have a question.
No, I mean, you guys decide, the selectmen decide what warrant articles go on. So the ones that are in green, right? They would be considered to be warrant articles for the selectmen to put on.
But you're
the
missing
warrant.
what I'm saying,
Yeah, right?
Russ.
Yes,
Okay, so then you have the authority as a selectman to not put one of those on there.
Absolutely, they do.
right, right. So you might in 2022, whatever,
But you've
highway department.
added into this money already to buy a loader. So you're putting the taxpayers' money in an account, in a bank account.
No, we haven't done that.
But
No,
you're
not
you're
until you
Virgil.
vote on the
It's-
warrant.
It's equipment fund.
That's
Like
right.
the fire department, they have
It's a
an
fund.
equipment fund.
It's
And
an-
so when it comes
They
to
have to, but the voters have to vote
on the individual item,
on the individual
that's
items,
correct.
okay, just like they did last year. But then the selectmen make their own definitive choices.
Like the budgets in general, the budget committee does their chopping, then it goes to the selectmen, they do their chopping. And that's how the system works, and then
This
the
is-
alt
this is-
voter does the,
Not paying tax money for a loader on this list that's already added in here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Virgil, but
It's not in there
it's
yet.
not really in there as that.
Right, it's not there yet.
But anyway, I have a question.
Yes.
Why did
It
the
isn't.
fire department's equipment go from a 25-year lifespan to a 20?
That was the recommendation from the fire chief at the time.
Well, it has been 25 years for a piece of apparatus for a long time. And so
Part
I
of
guess
it-
the selectmen need to,
the
Which
de-
one are you referring to, Scott?
department-
all of them.
Oh,
On the
okay.
fire department, ladder truck, 20-year lifespan, command vehicle, 10-year on the
25.
550.
I cannot answer the question, okay, why the lifespans have changed.
Yeah.
That it was the recommendation of the fire chief at the time, and he put these
Well,
longevity dates.
Okay,
on
I
it.
get it.
Can
The
I-
selectmen need to fix that if they so desired.
Can I just
Two
speak for a
thousand
second,
added
Mr.
in
Chairman?
this price.
Yes, Roger.
Wait, we can't all be talking at once.
Same with half.
I just want to, I just want to say this about what you were saying, Virgil. This is CIP, so it's for replacement. Now, the truth of the matter is that stupid loader is replacement. Somebody is saying that what we have is not good enough. They want to replace it.
No,
So,
they want two.
huh?
They want the big and the small. The same as like half the trucks that we sent down there weren't meant to be replaced. They were sent down there because they weren't, we didn't want to send them to auction when we can still use them. So we sent the trucks down there to be used up. Now they're on this list. And all this adds up.
That loader
And it
is,
goes
that
into
loader
that
is for the
account.
sidewalks.
I think,
He wants that loader for the sidewalks.
I think to fix this needs to go to the Board of Selectmen and they do their weeding through it as they see fit. I mean,
This is only a tool.
I know, but you've got money added in there and it all adds up to one amount that you want to put in the CI, into the,
It's there for you to look at. It's not added yet.
Virgil,
It won't be added until the town votes on it.
Virgil, when I came to this board last year, there was no discussion about, it was only, the planning board took this as a tool, okay, to be this is what was recommended. It is a replacement and you call it a wish list, but it's what your department heads are asking for to service the people of this community, okay? If the Board of Selectmen choose to do otherwise, that's their privilege.
I'll
This is
take it up
just a
with the board
tool.
then.
yeah.
All right.
It's just a tool, okay?
I'll take it
And
up with the board.
if you recall, I'll give a perfect example, okay? There was a ladder truck that we went out for, if I believe last year.
Yeah.
We went and we asked the community members, the voting members, to vote on whatever it was, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Okay. I believe it was approved, but it was approved based on, we were going to get a
Grant.
grant. We didn't get the grant, okay? So the money was reserved. The selectmen then decided, in their wisdom, because they are the selectmen, they went out and bought a used
Found
truck.
A good use letter.
Okay,
Right.
wasn't on our CIP.
And all three ladder trucks have been used ladder trucks.
Used and
Yes,
we've got quite a
okay.
few years
So-
out of them.
So you made a conscious, you as the selectman made a conscious conservative decision to buy a ladder truck. It's not on the CIP. So
Well,
it was your decision.
But
I'm just using that
I
as an
know, but you're
example.
missing what I'm saying. when you turn this into a wish list of what, everything they want, you're putting money, that amount goes up going in. Right? You're raising that amount going into that.
I don't know who comes up with a rule. There should be some parameters to the department heads on how the selectman or somebody wants this thing presented. So it's presented
Couldn't,
properly.
for example, couldn't the selectman ask the fire chief to come in and explain it in a meeting with selectmen? Says, we've got the CIP here. You're asking for this and this and this.
Yep.
Can you give us some more information about it?
That'd
We
be
do that in public. right?
perfectly fine. Yep.
Yeah.
And then decide whether or not the selectmen are the ones that decide which one of these green things goes as a warrant article.
At the end of the day, it's going to be the selectmen that decide what goes into the warrant articles, okay, for that particular year. Again, this is just a tool.
Right.
This is okay, we brought all the department heads in. We asked them to give us what is it that they need to replace and what else do they need to service the constituencies of this town. That's what should be done. That's what the department said. Now, a perfect example with I went to the selectmen and asked, why are we putting the highway fund into capital reserve? Their answer was, I really didn't get a clear answer from the selectmen because that's really not a reserve. We use it every year. We use the amount every year. It's not a capital piece of equipment.
Well, we use it every couple of years.
And I found that out at the meeting that we use it every couple of years, okay, depending on, we've been putting in $950,000 for a number of years, and sometimes we use it all, and sometimes we move it over to the following year, okay? So the department head came in and said his methodology, which made a whole lot of sense, okay, based on his methodology, that we were building for $950,000. The previous department head was building approximately 3 miles of road. But what he wasn't doing is he wasn't maintaining the roads that we have. He was utilizing mostly the money to build new roads, which was a phenomenal amount of, in my estimation, savings that he made. The new director says, we're not maintaining the roads the way we should. And it's going to come back and bite us down the road. So I'd like to increase, and he came in to the board, to the committee, and he requested $1.5 million per year, which rose this tax impact to down close to 1 point per thousand, the tax rate of 1.5 to the tax base. Okay. We had to come back and we diluted that down to about $1,050,000 to start, if you remember, Roger, and we increased it by $100,000 a year. Okay, because we just couldn't justify a tax impact increasing by 50%, okay, in those years. But we understood his methodology, made some sense. We wanted to give him some leeway, and those were our recommendations. So the recommendation here for the highway department for that particular area,
Top of page 6, I think.
it's on page 1, is the deposit for the 2022 is going from 950,000 to 1,175,000, but his request was 1,500,000. Okay, you'll see it halfway down. Okay, and we increased it every year, okay, a little bit to give him an opportunity to work with the selectmen on deciding on what roads and what maintenance he saw as a priority. What this did was it brought, if you recall, last year's tax impact was $1, just a little bit less than $1 per thousand. This new tax rate over the next 5 years, with everyone getting their requests in for the equipment that they needed to replace, increases it by 1.10 or 10 cents more per thousand. Okay. We thought that was prudent. We still think it's prudent. And let me just share with you, this is based on what we, and this was voted on by the committee, but this was based on our current assessments. This is not based on the future assessments that are coming in the next week or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So let me just share with you, okay, in terms of anticipation, this shows it at 1.105 and then 0.6897. Never gets until 2027, and that is because of the increase to the highway department and some fire apparatus. Okay, it goes to 1.134 or 13 cents. But I have some good news for you. Based on information that I have from Jessica, that we were able to extrapolate, it isn't finalized yet because it hasn't gone to the Board of Selectmen, but it appears that the new assessments will add $408 million to our assessment from $1,771,000,000, okay, to $2,180,000,000. If that becomes the case, and even if it's a little bit less, then this plan is basically irrelevant, okay, in terms of the
impact.
of the
Tax
tax
impact,
impact.
It's still dollars out of your pocket.
Yeah.
Still balls out of the
It's
pocket,
yeah,
but
it's not,
it's,
it's not,
but I'm just, the goal of the CIP is to manage the tax rate impact to the town so that there aren't huge waves. Okay, that's the goal.
Level across.
Just level it across. So that's what all we're trying to do. That's, and I think the heads have done a good job in terms of conservatively asking for what their needs are. Okay, based on what they're trying to accomplish for our community. Could one consider something in particular in terms of it being a wish list? Of course. Okay, everybody has their priorities. Okay, it's up to the selectmen and the planning board, and to decide whether or not that's prudent or not. Okay, so just to give you an example, you see what's here. If that $408 million gets increased, the tax impact for 22 would be 0.89.
Is that based on the reduction of the tax rate?
I don't,
It has to be, because when you reassess the town, you've got that $400 million. Now you divide the budget by that extra $400 million, which will reduce the tax rate.
Should reduce it.
It must reduce it, because there's gonna be a major problem, people here, that if they don't see a reduction in their tax rate.
There'll be a reduction. There's no question about it. Okay.
But we can't sell it as it's not gonna be, it's gonna be free.
No,
Right.
but it does give,
Nothing's free.
it does,
Thank you.
it does give some relief, okay, in knowing that this is what transpires, okay? So I just wanted to mention that to you, okay? I think it's still important to understand, okay, that it's just a tool. It's not
It's not a doc, it's not a contract.
It's not a contract. These are the things that, it's something that the selectmen can take a look at and say, okay, where are our priorities? Where are we going to spend our money? And we can use this as a tool. And it also helps you to look out in the future and say, this is what the other needs are. Okay. So just in case, the highway department, for the 3 years that I've been on the committee, we spent an awful lot of money on trucks and vehicles and machinery that, thank goodness, we had the reserves for. Okay, so were they anticipated? I mean, I know that we had 2 dump trucks that cost us $277,000. Okay, well, hopefully we won't have to replace those for a long time. Okay, but we spent the money.
Look right in here. They'll tell you when they want to replace them.
So, those things are needed. Had we not had the reserve money, where would he have gotten that? So,
Would have been a big hit.
Oh, yes.
so reserving money is not in some cases, not the end all, but boy, having the money there when you need it is so important. So anyways, this is our recommendation. And I hope the planning board will approve it as a tool. Again, it's not the end all, okay? And I hope that the planning board will continue to allow the CIP to be here, because I think it's important to keep this process
It has to be
going.
there, statute wise.
It only makes sense. It's just a guide. That's all it is. It's a guide.
I think you pointed out probably one of the most important aspects of this, at least in my mind, is the 5-year look ahead. You got to see what's coming at you down the road as best as you can guess. I mean,
It used to be
we all
7.
know life throws
It
surprises.
used to be 7 years.
But it's imperative that you think ahead like this. That's being responsible.
Oh, absolutely.
And one more thing I need to say is since we have 2 selectmen here, we've got to look at how we rebuild our roads. Because replacing some metal culverts that are, rotted out, and you send the grinder down the road, and now you're ready for asphalt. You need to make sure you have a base under this road. And I'll use Hall's Hill as an example, which I lived on for many years. It was done, and then 3 years later, the road had acne. All the rocks were popping up through it. I mean, and we told Kenny at the time, as Kenny should have left it alone. We could miss the rocks. Now we can't miss the patches. So I think the selectmen really need to look at how we rebuild our roads, because if anybody comes in and builds a road in this town to put a subdivision road on, it's built to the same spec as I-95, with the exception of thickness of asphalt. That's the only difference. Same thing. So it's it's an odd scenario.
So
Also, okay. So along with that, let me go back to the building. What's not in here, okay, is the building any kind of buildings. So we asked each one of the heads, okay, what kind of space requirements they thought they needed, okay? And it was very interesting.
Lightning.
Most of them said, we can do with what we've got right now, but the future, you know, for instance, in this building, there are file documents, they're running out of space, okay? And they need to have those documents, okay? Planning, you know, building, you know, they need space.
Yeah, do you want to work underneath 30 cabinets that are full?
Can I just call for a point of order for just one moment, Frank? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you just
sure.
hold on 1 second? So I think the discussion that Frank's trying to get into is listed more towards the end of the agenda. It's listed under, it's on the second page, under any other business to come before the board.
Okay.
It's number 1. So can the board maybe agree on amending the agenda to have that discussion now that Frank is here?
He's sitting here. Let's
So moved.
second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Thank you.
Didn't like
Catch,
French
Jess.
Thank you, because
Thank you, Jeff.
I'm getting hungry, and
Yeah.
when I get hungry, I
Keep in
get
line.
Frankie?
snarly. And I get cranky. Okay. And so I'm, the space needs, okay, certainly we're hoping that the master plan will address some of that. But in the future, there is no question that the two biggest areas of space needs that kept coming up from when we requested to just ask the heads was the fire department and the highway department, okay? And certainly they feel, at least the heads feel, that there's an absolute need. We know that both of those facilities are I'll call it under huge stress in terms of how they're being utilized. So to say the least, we would ask that we hope that the CIP will be able to work on that going forward once the master plan is put in place. You will see what a recommendation by the CIP committee. Again, it's just a tool that maybe we should start thinking about a multi-complex municipal complex facility, and where should it be located land-wise and things of that nature. This is just future stuff down the road that we think is important. And should we be reserving some money for that?
Absolutely. Because
Can I-
there gonna be some really
Oh, yeah.
ugly numbers come out of that, I'll tell you.
Can I add a little bit more to that?
I'm sorry?
Can I add a little bit more to what that?
Sure, absolutely.
So this page that I just passed out to you guys.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a cover page to a packet that's in your packets tonight, and it's entitled Building Needs. So all of those, that packet of building needs has all the individual department head comments. So this sheet that Pat, with the help of
Makes
CIP
sense.
and master plan, gathered up all of the requests or the recommendations from all of the department heads throughout all of the town departments, and kind of came up with a proposal. So we kind of, I know you guys are kind of thrown at this sort of at the last minute. You haven't really had a chance to review everything. So
And again, I would just ask you to take a review, start to digest it, you know. It's something that if we're going to address it, we need to address it because it's big numbers. It's big numbers. And how we go about it, okay, should not be done in a vacuum. Okay, it should be conscious decision-making and future planning, okay, that this town is going to need. I mean, it's,
Just so you'll know, is about 12 years ago, the town hired I think State Street Architects in Concord. They designed a fire station, they designed a police station, they did a remodeling to this building here. And that was just a waste of paper. Nothing, it went nowhere at all.
Right.
well, that was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And here we are now, okay,
Kick
and
that ball down the road again, because, you know, you're gonna look 3, 4 million, 5 million for a fire station.
Right, but some of the comments that we had from the resources of the questionnaire address some of these items. Now, one of the things that really amazed me was how many requests were put out for Parks and Recs. I mean, it was dumbfounding to me. For adults, old age, kids, sight, you know, so I mean, that's a huge feature, but if the citizens are asking for something like that, we need to consider it.
Oh, absolutely.
so anyways, digest it. This is great bedtime reading. You know, this is not for discussion tonight. Basically, I'm here to ask for your approval so that we can move this on to the selectmen. Again, it's a guide and it's a tool. Okay, it's and that's all it should be used for, you know, and we need to look out. It needs to continue to look out to the future so that we aren't caught in a quagmire. And I'm thinking that so far we've been very fortunate to have the reserves that we've had, and I commend the town for doing that over the years, okay, and still keeping the tax impact rate conservatively.
We
You know?
did go through a spell of not doing any reserves. That's why the town went to all this leasing stuff. And if we had the reserves, we could buy these things. I personally don't feel the town should be paying interest except on capital items. I mean, because, you know, a police car, a fire truck, that's all disposable stuff. They're at the end of their life cycle, they're basically not worth much. So, because they use them up. So that's why I don't like to pay interest on those things. And I think you'll see a bulk of the people in town would not like that, but it is what it is.
All right.
So that's it, Drew. That's all I got.
Thanks, Frank.
That's
Okay.
right. Nice job.
Yeah,
Right,
I'd
so-
like to thank you, Frank, for doing a
That's
good job.
It's an excellent job, actually.
So we
Mr.
need,
Chairman?
Yeah, if you can kind of hang loose just for a minute, I think because we're going to open this up for public comment.
thank you.
Is that where you were going?
Yes.
Okay.
Need a 2x4 test.
So at this point,
Yeah.
open this up for any public comment. If anybody out here interested in contributing. Kelly?
Hi, Frank, I just want to thank you and the CIP committee for working diligently on this for the last few months.
Excuse me, but can you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry, Kelly Sullivan. I know it's a lot of work sitting on a committee. I think it's important what you guys did and to utilize it as a tool, as we're doing with the master plan, all just groundwork to try to help the town move forward. That the interconnection with the department heads and the different planning boards is important. So I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Actually, it's a pleasure. It's my, it's an area that I have some expertise and I enjoy doing it. And we have a great committee and we have a great person and puts all of this stuff together for us. I honestly believe the goal of the committee is to keep that tax impact rate below that $1 area.
While still planning for the
And-
future, which
and
is
planning-
important.
And still planning for the future, knowing full well, and we even made sure that we had cost of, CIPs in there so that we don't get caught in a quagmire of 10 years down the road and we still using the old numbers of what an excavator may cost or.
That's basically business 101, right?
It is.
Try to do with what you can, but plan for the future accordingly,
Right,
so you don't
right.
get the big whack. So thank you, and it's just hard to get volunteers, so I appreciate your time. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Anybody else? No? All right, can close the public.
Can I ask a question?
You certainly may.
Do we need to vote to accept the CIP?
I think our vote is to move it forward to the.
Right, but we have to accept it
You
to
have
move
to
it
accept
forward.
First, because this is.
So if so, I would like to make a motion to accept the CIP on behalf of the planning board.
So the motion, do you have this piece of paper?
No.
So the board should go into any deliberations if you feel the need to have further discussion on it before you vote. The suggestions. Not, so this.
Well, I have this right
You
here.
have that?
Yeah.
Read the book.
So that would be your vote. That would be your.
I
motion
will
right
make a
there.
motion and
You're gonna submit the CIP.
submit the CIP plan of 2022 as presented to the Board of Selectmen and Budget Committee as the CIP committee's recommendation for 2022.
I'll second that.
We have a second. So any further discussions or comments on that? Hearing none. Roger?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Virgil?
Stay.
Bill?
Aye.
Drew, I.
Aye.
Aye.
Russ, eyes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you.
We want you back again.
Don't appointment runs for 23 too, right?
Roger will stop recommending me being the chairman. I would be happy about that.
I apologize to you for missing that last meeting.
That's
It's
okay.
just like,
Roger, you know,
That happens, Raj.
I'll leave
There was
you-
a football game that night.
I'll leave you with this comment, okay, that I'm reminded of when we're dealing with this kind of stuff. Jimmy Connors, the great tennis player, okay, was up at North Conway and is in the finals with Beyond Board.
Volvo Cup.
Okay, it was a great match. It was a 3-setter and Connors lost. It was tough. It was a tough match. And at the afterwards, when the press got to Connors and he was sitting there like I am right now, one reporter asked, "Jimmy, you lost the match. What do you think happened?" And he said, "Oh, no, I didn't lose the match. I did not lose that match. I ran out of time." So thank you all
Thank
for
you,
your
Frank.
service, all of you.
For you.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, we'll talk to you later.
You have a great night.
I'm gonna go home and eat now.
All right.
All right, so I just wanted to follow up on this, the building needs.
Yeah.
So we're gonna continue the discussion to the December meeting. So that way it gives you guys a chance to review sort of this proposal that Pat had presented. Take the time to look through all of the comments from the department heads. And then we get to meet in December, have a lengthier discussion on it. And then come up maybe with some agreement that we can recommend some sort of plan to the selectmen. And I believe Ruben had already been tasked to come up with some sort of building committee. So I think having all of this information to provide to him to start up a committee, I think is very helpful. That's my opinion.
So do we need a motion to continue that or?
No, it'll be on the
Not-
agenda
not
for next.
necessarily, yeah,
Okay.
it's just a discussion.
Thank you. All set?
Yes.
Move on to the next thing. So,
Moving on to the next thing,
okay, this
number 3.
zoning amendment committee. We did a lot of stuff on some language changes, just housekeeping. The biggest thing we had to deal with that really occupied a lot of time was the short-term rental. I don't say policy, a zoning ordinance. You can see some of the work we'd had here. It was gonna be 4 pages. And then we said, how the heck do we consolidate that? Because you cannot put 4 pages on a ballot and expect someone to support it. So I don't, we still don't know the best answer to that. And Drew, at the last meeting, that they decided to do what, please?
Decided that we're going to basically create a whole new committee and get more public involvement from the town people and pursue better wording on this whole thing and
Right.
see if we can sort through all the details.
And that we need to maybe engage some help. Because I feel this is huge. And, we've got to protect the people that are there, but we've got to protect the property owner as well to enjoy their property to the best and highest use. But we've just got to make sure that they don't.
But for the question we're dealing with, in a sense, is the people who live in a house and rent it, and the people who have bought something, live out of state and just
Strictly
rent
to
it.
rent it.
And it's just a business,
Yep.
which doesn't belong in certain zones.
But how do you discriminate against that?
Right, but I mean, that's what we have to deal with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just one small facet of the
This
whole
is-
big picture. And there's so many layers of
Those are the
that onion to
extremes.
peel. So.
I mean, you can read these pages here and you can see what we went through and Jess worked really hard on this and it's tough. It's a tough one. So hopefully the committee that is developed for this, we get people from both sides of the argument, shall we say, and hopefully we can hammer out some type of decent thing.
I think part of that goal was to put that to the Alternative Housing Committee.
Yeah.
That's already in place. And I know that Paul Monzioni from the ZBA, he mentioned that he wanted to be a part of that committee.
Good, because
So that way we
I
can have
ambushed him the other
a
night.
lawyer on the committee to help us with wording and.
He's done several cases in court about.
Yeah, and Paul's a great guy to have on the ZAC
Yeah, he
meetings
is.
because he's just a street smart guy. You know?
And he keeps things going.
Yep. Yeah, we really missed him this year. I believe last year he wasn't on
Yeah,
either.
Yeah.
so the goal was to start that Alternative Housing Committee back up sometime in January-ish.
So we should probably look at these items one by one. I'd like to do it rapidly because the time is moving on and I don't like to see the people out here waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
So number 1 will be a seasonal cabin. What that is right there. I'm not going to read it to you. You all can read. That will be in no case, we've really worked at not having these go past 182 days occupancy. Because if we don't want these smaller cabins becoming homes and that weren't designed for that, we've had, I'll use for example, we had Boulder Lodge cottages for years. It's gone now. It's a private property and there's really no places in town for someone to come up and spend a week's vacation because all the lake houses are now McMansions out there. And I mean, which is great, makes nice taxes. But, the average Joe has no place to come and stay anymore because we don't have a hotel here or anything of that nature. So this is what we're trying to do with that. And that's going to kind of blend in a little bit to the alternative housing because how it's used is going to be similar to that, I guess. So there's a lot of reoccurring things in these 2 packages. So as you've read number 1,
It's a glorified definition of cabins.
Right. Yeah, because they're still kind of a cabin, but they're small in nature. I'll just expand on that a little bit more because I'm jumping into I'm not going to do that right now. Alternative housing. I'll get to that after this.
Okay, good.
So, anyway, number 1, for the purpose of this summer season, May 1st through October 30th, the winter season is from December 15th through March 15th. What we did with there is, in Alton here now, when I was a kid in the 60s, we had summertime, Gunstock was up there and of course, but there was very, very little wintertime recreation going on back then. Now, wintertime recreation is huge.
Yes.
And it's good for our economy. So if someone has a cabin colony, they can open it from April to October, let's say. They'll close down for a couple of months. They'll turn the water off on the system so nobody can habitate the place. And then they'll reopen the middle of December through the middle of March, so they can enjoy the winter months. And so that was the idea there. And you can see it will be an exception in every use except for the recreational services zone. And as we know, that's a tiny, tiny zone, very spotty where they are. So I guess I will ask for any questions, and then I'll ask for a vote. Hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to move this forward to the ballot. Oh, to the public hearing, pardon me.
I'll make a motion, we move amendment 1 to the ballot.
Second.
Public hearing.
Public
Public
hearing,
hearing.
yeah. And that's seconded by Virgil.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Am I supposed to be doing this? I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
Why not?
You know, whatever.
Aye.
Your ordeal.
Just
so-
keep running with it there, Scott.
Right. Well,
Okay.
he is the chairman of the ZAC committee.
Yeah, anybody opposed?
Right, but this is actually the planning board.
Planning board.
Yeah.
So right now, so the function of tonight is the ZAC committee is presenting the proposed zoning amendments to the planning board.
And then the
Scott just
planning
happens
board-
to be both.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah,
So am I right, wrong, or
you are,
indifferent?
you are doing fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All those in favor?
All right.
I
Aye.
think there are eyes all around.
And did we move the rationale forward as well? Because it should be, so that the motion should include the amendment and the rationale to move forward.
I so correct my motion.
Okay, thank you.
Virgil, second?
Yes.
Yep, so Virgil, okay. Anybody have any problem with that?
None.
Okay. Item number 2. A boathouse currently is a 15-foot above the reference line for the water body, which is, I believe, is the high water mark. And the state allows for 20 feet, maybe granted by a special exception by the zoning board of adjustment. This basically brings us in line with the state rules. And we could really consider this kind of a housekeeping item. So any further discussion on this?
Done. I'll make a
Hearing
motion
none, I'll accept a motion to move this forward
along with the rationale.
along with the rationale. Thank you.
Second.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, great. Motion by Drew, seconded by Virgil. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Amendment number 3. We just enjoyed this back a few months back.
So this one actually includes some changes from Jim Sessler. Do you have the copy that has green writing on it?
No, I do not.
Yeah.
I do?
Oh, you
Maybe I'll try this one.
That might, the one with the green writing?
Yep, I get this one.
Yeah. So that was a suggestion from Jim.
Okay,
So we crossed off the second paragraph and changed it. It clarified things a little better.
He's the one defending it.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's just a rewording of our
Yeah.
paragraph so that it's
Right.
legally correct.
Yep. Just makes a little more sense.
Okay, so do I need to read this through? I mean, this is just a boundary line, the zoning boundary line that goes through a lot.
Right.
How it's to be handled,
I'll make a motion, we move amendment 3 and the rationale forward,
Including
including.
changes,
the
including
including the
the
changes. by-
recommendations from
Yeah.
Jim Sessler.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion by Tom, seconded by Drew. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 4, non-habitable structure. This basically is just a word change. You can see non-habitable, and we replace garage, wood shop, or shed. That's about as no-brainer as you can ask for. Any discussion on it? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we move it forward to, with the rationale,
Amendment 4.
amendment 4.
Second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Tom, seconded by Drew. Any further discussion on zoning amendment number 4? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Planning board motion amendment number 5. Building trade repair shop excluding barge loading associated with building trade use. This is just permitted uses. The table of uses were not changed at all. It's just another wording change here, trade or repair shop. So this trade shop, it will be trade, building trade shop excluding barge.
The rationale covers it.
Yep.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we move Amendment 5 and the rationale forward.
I'll second it.
Motion by Tom, seconded by Drew. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Planning Board proposed amendment number 6 to amend 400 district regulations, permitted uses, table of uses, self-storage facility, indoor only. This is, we have self-storage covered outdoor, but not the indoor. And this is, picks up the indoor storage.
And by eliminating the words warehouse, we've
Right.
avoided any confusion with anything else.
Yep.
So I'll make a motion to move Amendment 6 forward along with the rationale.
I'll second that.
Motion by Drew, seconded by Russ. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Amendment number 7. This is again, old usages, travel trailer park. That's something out of the 60s, and recreational campground or camping park. Just removing travel trailer park out of that. And the rationale should be enough to figure that out.
Yep. I'll make a motion to move this forward with Amendment number 7 along with the rationale.
I'll second that.
Motion by Drew, seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of amendment number 7? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
You want to lump all the administrative together?
Yeah, they're just administrative.
Yeah,
You-
and these do not need the. a
You don't
vote
need
of
to
the
vote
town.
on them. They don't become warrant
Yeah,
articles.
so if
Yep.
anybody has any questions on these following ones here, manufactured home to housing, pre-site built housing, it's just,
Pretty
it's
self-explanatory.
clearing up.
Nomenclature, really.
It's basically clearing up
Yeah.
the changing in terminology as we progress through time. We're just keeping up with it.
Right.
Sounds good.
So,
I just wanted to ask Russ, I think Russ had a comment on 4A on that section 362. Do you have a comment on that one?
Right,
You sent me an
4A.
email about the how it indicates class 5 road
Oh, yeah,
regulations.
yeah.
I don't know if you
Um,
still had an issue with
That's
that.
on the housekeeping stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, the point I made is we don't have class 5 road standards. We have town road standards.
Right.
Class 5 road is a road that's maintained by the town. And that's not clear. That's confused the way that's written.
So would this be class 6 roads?
No, class 6 is a,
Class 5?
Just gotta get with it. You gotta take away standard away from class 5. They don't. Did you say
I think we could say town roads, which are standard of class 5.
No, they're no, they don't. do
All right,
that.
all right, there you go.
Town
So,
roads are class 5 roads,
so I have a suggestion.
maintained by the town. That's it.
Right, go for it.
So the wording, so maybe if we take out where it starts in red, the minimum requirements, comma, as indicated in the Alton Highway Policies and Regulations. So take out of A, class 5 road.
If you're talking about a standard, it's the town highway
Because the
standard.
standards obviously are listed in the highway policies and regulations.
And the Alton Highway Policies and Regulations have minimum standards.
Right, but they're not class 5 standards.
how do they differ, I wonder?
Class 5 is a town road, maintained road, period. It could not even meet town standards. It's still a class 5 road. It's just that the
Okay.
town plows it, fixes it. That's it.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, that was in that.
Do we need a
when
vote
we
on
went through
those
with,
changes?
This is just another, I
Yeah.
think it's just not another administrative change.
It was very clear in Bernie Waugh's thing, hard road travel.
Traveled.
And that gets confused many times by the towns. So
I think what keeps us safe here is as indicated in the Alton Highway policy.
Right, and that's what was
That's-
missing.
that's- Yeah,
So then it
Yeah.
refers
So
people
now-
to the proper document to find the information.
yeah.
The minimum requirements of, as indicated in the highway policies, take out classified road.
Yep.
And then, or will include a road upgrade that meets the minimum requirements of
And take it out further down below.
down below. Just get rid of class 5 in this.
Period.
Has nothing to do with it.
I'll make a motion, we move 4A and all the others forward with their with the changes involved in section 4A.
So I don't think this one would be moved forward to a warrant article.
And this
No,
is
it's
the
not.
house.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
it's
this is
house, yeah.
No
This is
voting
housekeeping.
required.
No, it's not needed.
Okay.
There you go.
So anyway, now I'll move over to the alternative housing, and I'll take just a couple of minutes on that. As we got
Agenda, is it?
bogged down in Zach with the
Do we have
rental
paperwork on that?
So,
situation.
so Scott,
We don't
Yes.
have that.
yeah, it's not on the agenda.
Then I won't talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't talk about it.
Not a problem. Mr.
All right.
Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to design review. So the case P2121,
Then
and that has been continued
Yep.
till December.
That's why we don't.
All
December,
right,
yeah,
that's why you won't find it in your package. All
continued to December 21st, 2021. So that's the next meeting,
right.
next.
So the next item, conceptual consultation. This was continued from October 19th, 2021, case P2123. Ryan L. Heath, who is now the owner, to construct 4 6-unit multifamily structures served by municipal water and private septic. This is up on Wilbert Way.
Wilbert, it should be Wilbur.
I didn't name the road.
Hello.
I had to look that one up.
Yeah. Well, first of all, good evening, everybody.
Evening.
Evening.
Afternoon.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Ryan Heath, and I am the sole member of Ryan L. Heath LLC. And I'm here tonight to, discuss a conceptual proposal, Wilbert Way I recently purchased. To say when I was presented with the opportunity, I didn't realize after 20 years of being here exactly how much land is up there. So once I realized the lot size, and I do apologize for the 2 continuances I was waiting for, because we're talking about units and density. I wanted to make sure I had the survey done first so that I knew exactly accurately what we were talking about as far as acreage goes. And actually, the survey came out to 9.09. Originally, when I purchased it, it was represented as 8 acres. So there's actually snuck an extra acre in there. I don't know how, but so what you're looking at here, and I assume you all have the paperwork. Okay. So those of you that aren't familiar, Wilbert Way is a private road owned by a town, used to be a fire lane 25 plus years ago, or even further back before my time here. Then with 911 renaming, it was named Wilbert Way and converted, but it is a recognized town road. It's not town maintained, it's a private road, but it's a recognized town road. The road is at the top of Rollins Hill on Main Street. That is Wilbert Way that goes off on the left. You might recognize it because there's a small white ranch that most people think is a manufactured home. It's actually a ranch style home with a very low peak. So currently right now, what you're looking at on this plan is as the road comes off, that first structure right by Route 11 is the yellow house that most people see from the road. The drive and the road continues up along the property line to that second structure you see up. And the little hook is the driveway. The driveway runs, it's all paved and it runs beside that structure. Both of those structures are the same rough size. They're about 950 square foot ranches, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, existing, currently rented. And they've been in existence, like I said, long before my time, going back at least 20 years, 25 years. So the proposal would be up in the back after you get up, the lot has 410 feet of road frontage. But in the back is really the bulk of the acreage. And in the back,
it terraces off back there so that the elevations are, I should say the slopes are not, that great. There's a plateau up there. The previous owners had done some selective cutting up in there right before I purchased it. So there's a clearing up in there, and you can't see it from the roadway at all. It's hidden, I shouldn't say the roadway, from Main Street. So that whole clearing sits up and overlooks sort of the mountain ridge up there. And it's secluded from the eye, and it really became, in my opinion, a perfect location to put some rentals and still maintain that rural character of the community without having them on display. So the road currently ends at that second structure. There's a culvert already in place that the two previous owners apparently had put in. And the roadway ends at that point where the clearing starts. So the second structure. So the proposal for the new the new housing would be right into the clearing at the end of the road, whereas it exists right now. Basically, there'd be a short section, a few hundred feet of roadway to extend it into the parking area. The point behind the design was to utilize the topography and the clearing so that each building and every unit, even though the buildings are below and top units, every unit has ground floor access. There's no staircases going up, because that lower level of parking lots will service the first lower of level of buildings. They will be 30 by 30 units, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So the parking would go in at the ground level for the first set. You drive up and around to the second row of parking, and you would have ground floor access to the second floor units right there. So there'd be parking and ground floor access. It also afforded the ability to keep everything condensed. I'm trying not to utilize all of the acreage of the land and keep much more green space and condense the housing into one location and the parking features as well. So each footprint of each building would be 30 by 90, 2-story. As you can see, the parking area is located. The rectangles in between the buildings are designated septic space, so that we can put the systems right within, the condensed area of the whole complex. So that's the overview of the project. Obviously I'd be happy to answer any questions and discuss any other comments or theories or.
So there is quite a grade change. So I was trying to figure out very quickly before the meeting, but looks like your lowest parking lot is going to sit about 45 feet above Main Street.
Yes. Yeah. I should say the existing road has quite a grade to the second part, and then it starts to plateau off a little bit.
And the intent is to have it serviced by municipal water.
Yes.
And I can't speak for fire protection, but I assume these are going to have to be sprinkled.
There's no rule for that.
Right.
Okay. But I'm just concerned about water pressure getting up that.
That should be fine there, I think, because you're still quite a
Water
ways
supply is just
below-
above.
Yeah, you're quite a bit below the reservoir.
Yeah.
I don't know the elevation of the reservoir. It should be easily obtained.
Okay.
And there's currently, just so you know, both units that are existing, the one at the very top of the road is being serviced by municipal water. I won't have to extend it from Main Street. It's already extended up.
Well, you may need to change the diameter.
Yeah, you're going to have to
Right,
probably get a
absolutely.
larger service line up there, but
Are the current buildings on the property going to stay?
Yes, they're going to stay, but be improved along with the rest of the project.
Because I see you have another one down in the lower end of that's not there.
That's not my property.
Oh, that's not your property.
No, that is
I see
the,
that line right there. then.
sorry, that's the
Yep.
duplex that is at the bottom of the
Yep,
hill.
Yeah, there used to be another building right on the left-hand side going
Right.
up.
They took that out.
They took that out quite a few years ago, and I think there was a second one up above too, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
back when Malone's had it.
Yeah,
But part of the proposal moving forward when we do, you know, the site work, and I mean, not the site work, the engineering and all that, is that first unit is awful close to the roadway. So the plan would be, that's on a block foundation crawl space, would be to cut behind it into the bank and push that and crane the house up onto a full foundation and get it away from the road. So, I mean, the structure's been recently remodeled inside by the previous owners. The outside needs some siding and some cosmetic work, but the inside is nice and small and remodel that. I hate to demo the structure. But obviously if that became a condition as part of the project, and then so be it, then I need to do it. My thought would be to save it and put it on a foundation further back.
Have you talked with DOT yet about access?
I have not had any conversations with DOT yet.
Before you go much further, if I recommend anything,
Mhm.
go talk to them.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a difficult
That's gonna be a tough
in
night.
and out, especially with the, you know, you're going to have to probably, you know, figure out your traffic flow and traffic study on this.
And just so you'll
Let
know.
me give you an example.
Okay, there you go.
You know, my house at 208 Main Street, I wanted to add one unit. Oh, no, I was
One
gonna put
building.
four, I was gonna put one building, 4 units up. They wouldn't allow me to do it
Mhm.
because I was short 30 feet of site.
Okay.
So definitely, that's where you want to start.
Okay.
Yeah,
My,
because what you're dealing with there is the number of units that you've got. And to be generous for you and simply say there are only 6 trips generated by each one, that comes out to 140 trips a day.
Mhm.
So DOT is going to look at that.
Sure.
So there's the number of units times the number of trips. I think that what they will figure on is like 10 trips per unit.
And they missed the class play well with others.
Yeah, I know. I've been there before.
The only other thing that somewhere I thought I read townhouse.
No,
Didn't I read townhouse?
no,
Okay, good, because they're not townhouses.
no, they're not townhouses. No.
Just,
Not a garden.
I was looking at this and I pulled out Google Earth just to see what it looks like. And I noticed just to the east there is Pearson Road.
Yes.
And it looks like there's a stub at the end of that last cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
That would be a great access potentially in here.
Absolutely.
Just thinking about that. I mean,
But you just dissolved that subdivision up there, just to keep that in mind.
well, no, I mean, it could be, you'd have to work something out with the owners there, but.
Circle flow would be
but-
good.
Well, I don't know. And then just something to look at as a different way of access into there. It might be more desirable than as having a lot of traffic coming out where it's gonna be a difficult access. in
Another
my
way to
view,
skin the cat.
To look there. And if you look up the hill, I think it's just below the hill, right? There's a big oak tree on the side there, right at that corner. Used to be, anyway, before you get up to the flat part is where you are, right? That's where.
Some
where it goes
of
up.
that obstruction that you're talking about too on the left-hand side is all property that I own.
Yeah.
And the banking is enormous. But if that's all cut back as part of
Yeah.
the site work, cut down and cut back, because I got some pine trees that are dangerously clinging on the banking there. It might help with the line of sight. Obviously, I have dealt with DOT in the past on road cuts and increased use. And I don't know what they're gonna say about this, but the only other thing I got in my favor going into this is the fact that it's not a driveway cut, it's a recognized road.
It's a road.
And it's a road that's adopted by the town.
Right.
So the DOT has to take that into whether they're gonna play nice with me, but they have to take into consideration that that's not just a regular driveway access. It's already been.
But I think that if you could look at this at Pearson, because it would be ideal, the construction costs would be a heck of a lot less too. You
Yeah, it's
just,
right in your backyard.
you're right in there and it would be no problem. Then you come out in, you have to drive through that neighborhood, but then you'd be on the old the old Wolfboro Road and it'd be easy.
No, absolutely. Actually, almost everybody that's talked to me about this property has said, hey, what about Pearson Road? And you know, I had considered it. I just haven't really done much research at that point into, discussing it with the current owner.
I will say
Hunter,
that
right?
I think
No, I think he's out of it. His partner.
Oh,
So he could probably turn you on to the guy, but
I think it's a great idea to have some apartments, more apartments in town. So we
It's a
really,
huge need.
we really need it.
Yeah.
We could probably use 50 of them.
Yeah.
So, and my idea, like I said, with this, I just thought it was, I know that, going through, other projects in town and things like that, I know that, aesthetics and rural character are very important. It's always been important in this town, and to have a big cluster area of rentals on display, I don't think would be very appealing to a lot of people in the community. That's why I thought, this sort of plan would, from that aspect, would be very appealing.
Yeah, it's true.
Because, you can't even see the area right now, and
The
it's,
input we got from the questionnaire
Mhm.
was almost, don't develop anymore, but we need the housing. And if you don't see it, it doesn't exist.
there you go.
So the screening, I think, in the future is going to be key. So never build a straight driveway, always build a bend. So you don't see all the way in, that kind of thing. I mean, it's important because that does add to the rural atmosphere. If you don't see a bunch of development, mentally, it's not there.
Sure. Yeah. So.
Looks fine.
Questions?
That's good.
I think it's a good idea.
So if you
Yes,
don't
I
mind,
think you
can
have your
I-
challenges
right in
ahead of
there,
you,
go.
but
Yeah, can I ask one question of the board? I just don't know from policy, the board's policy as it goes. I know that any proposed or project that's even started in the discussions, that there's no excavating, anything like that. The question I had is the previous owners, like I said, they had done some selective cutting and they went up in there. Was the board agreeable? Is it okay to go in there and clean up the down brush? Because we're coming into the winter season. My
Johnny
idea
Logger
was,
stuff.
yeah, my idea was bringing my machine up there and just raking it into a
Clean it
pile so I can burn it. And
One of the
we have
problems
snow
we have
coverage.
is we don't have the authority until an application is made.
He'll call you a hose dragger after that,
Right. So according to the regulations, so ahead of time, you can't do any clear cutting and things like that.
I didn't do
So
any cut.
as far as the regulations
They
go,
were
I don't
cutting
see
well
the-
in advance of me
Yeah,
purchasing
I don't
it.
see the problem of him
No.
coming in and just, picking up the debris.
Cleaning up a mess.
I don't-
Yeah, and my plan would not be
Yeah.
to disturb any of the earth other than, the corduroy and stuff that
Clean it up.
they walk
Yeah.
across. I just want to get that cleaned up so it looks nice and presentable, and I can burn away the waste brush and stuff.
Not until there's snow cover.
No, I won't do that. I don't want somebody making phone calls on me.
Most of the fire department told you.
Not unless he has a permit.
Said you didn't want that front house, so.
good.
Gotta have
All
a-
right,
Other
great.
than that-
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
you.
the input.
Mr. Chairman, if I could take a 3 or 4 minute recess.
Yes. Yep. We'll take a brief recess.
Good night.
Thanks.
Okay, we're making progress here.
See if we can do some exercise.
So Gene was up behind, I think I told you, he was up behind your house the other day.
Sorry.
Last call.
Yeah, last call. So you say there is an old cellar hole up there on the Ely property up on the top someplace?
Yes.
Behind you? Is there a cemetery up there?
I found a cemetery way up.
On that Ely property?
No,
Oh,
above on the old Rhines property. I don't know the town owns part of that one above the.
We only have 2 left, huh?
that was
27 and
Barney.
29.
Barney owns something up in there too, doesn't he?
Yep.
You go up,
Owns much further back.
lot 53.
On the other side of that old road that goes in at the end
Hopefully
of
those look quick.
Benethy.
Yeah.
And they got permission from the conservation. Commission there, but
And log it, because they went through the.
we
crossed
still
the
need,
brook.
I think a gate should be put in there sometime. But
Well, it's the,
Interesting.
the ownership is on that road is
Oh.
the town doesn't own that where it enters that area. And they put up some barriers there anyway,
Yeah.
it says no trespassers. But that's just a great, all of that land is just a great piece in there.
I always
So
thought,
we've got a management plan, I think
Power
we're
to
gonna,
vote
NICS
to allow
grant,
resident
do a management plan for the
property
CV
owners should be on committees.
Forest management thing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and part of it, one of the things we were talking about is, the beaver pond that you and Lawrence, I think, built a little bridge across the end there where the dam was. That has not come back with beavers.
Yeah.
And we thought we would perhaps go in and do some patch cuts around it and take out some of the big oaks and.
Well, you can
and
see
then-
how much has gone down, and that's the problem. A lot of mature stuff in there that's coming down. On my property, I have the same problem. A lot of mature stuff that has gone down by the wind blows.
Yeah, but it is not enough to shrub growth and sprouts and stuff come up. So that was an idea that we got from Matt Tarr from UNH. He said that you could do maybe quarter acre patch cuts. But the thing is, we don't do anything like that, and we do a plan for the forest stuff. We've got to involve.
Is there a bathroom
your
up here?
community.
Huh?
Bathroom up here?
in
No,
that,
there's no
but that's
bathroom
just
here.
not gonna go in there and say, we're gonna start lumbering the place.
No, but I mean,
In the bowels.
Oh,
of-
downstairs?
Yeah,
you know
just
where
in the back of the building.
big
Oh, all
meat
right.
boots are?
Oh, on
And that cellar hole, I
Yeah, yeah.
almost.
Probably quite the
if you
recess.
come a little closer, there's a stoned in area.
Yeah.
That's, I always thought that would make another excellent parking lot.
I think you said that, yeah.
And I mean, because you'd have to open it from the road.
Well, the only thing is that we have, right now, we have that little lot with the scouts, put up the kiosk. And you can get 4 or 5 cars in
Yeah.
there. And that's probably all the use it really
Well,
gets.
what I'm thinking of is in terms of, there are other trails I built in there that nobody knows about really.
Right. And that's the other thing, is one of the things we want to look at,
Trails.
but we want to look
Jess,
at
is Wilbert Way a town road?
trails we're putting in, are we urging people?
I question that. That's why it was a fire lane previously.
Well,
So-
again, the question
Fire
is-
lanes were only private roads at the time. And, but then 911 did not
No, no,
like
Hunting's. I'm not-
fire lane
I'm
2,
talking
fire
about
lane 25.
all
They
the
didn't like
time
that.
during
So they wanted everything named. So I don't know
Elaine,
if that's a
or.
bona fide Alton road. Not that it makes any difference
Ponds
to this
and the
application
stuff.
because
And you keep
That's a private
sending
road.
people through these areas.
Well, it certainly is going to have an
disturbs-
effect.
Well,
on
not that much along that
DOT.
waterfront path. I don't think that's a problem. I had some other trails that I built for skiing.
No, I,
Not one. Biggest problem was.
Poor Raj.
Changed.
And I felt like I punched him in the nose when he came in. I said, Raj, have you talked to DOT yet?
They then later
No,
said,
it's-
we
I got
really
a
don't
driveway.
want to
I
have
said,
something.
yeah, but they don't see it that way.
But I mean, locals had used.
they
it for
ransacked
years
me
to
over
walk their
there.
Dogs.
You know,
Right. But I think what's happened is
on
We
where I
have-
could have parking in the parking lot over there.
explosion.
Yeah.
People using the trails.
not
and
even
they're
their
going
land.
away. They've discovered it, they love it. And
Well,
they're
we
out
have one
there.
couple that comes up, he was on the master plan committee once and then sort of stepped down, but he and his wife come up every other day, sort of go through with their dogs.
Right.
They walk through and then come back along the road.
Appropriate if the
I
planning
guess
board
what
said
I'm saying
Bill's
is that
wife,
you have to be careful
Okay,
what you
flowers or something?
encourage
Yeah.
in certain
she's been in
areas.
the hospital.
But anyway, that's what the plan would do.
Yeah.
And I think
know
we'll
that.
have that.
Yeah, I just wonder if that would be.
not
So
officially,
you're gonna
Huh?
do
not officially. We can,
land use. Who else are
Yeah.
you gonna have on
after
your?
the meeting.
Yeah, well,
let's-
I'll
need to help
throw
you.
some money in a bucket or whatever.
All right. So I mean, you want to work with it?
No, I just wondered, because I've got
Wilbert
plan
Way.
to do what I've got to do. I just wondering,
Wait, I can
Yeah,
give you
that's a
that.
big,
I can give you
important
that
section.
answer in 1 second.
and
What kind of computer is
should
that,
you
Jess?
have more, not just her, but should you have
It's a
some other
Chromebook.
volunteers in town?
Things like
Or
like a
legitimate?
piece of paper.
I know, it's awesome.
Mike,
Right.
would you want to?
Anybody see, oh, Virgil's back.
Oh, let's stop talking about him.
All right. All right, so let's bring this back into order if we can.
Think about that.
So the next case before us, design review. This was continued from, again, October 19th. This has to do with the construction of 3 cottages in the existing conference center, each to be approximately 750 feet. Case 2127.
Good yourself.
Good, thank you.
Welcome back. If you can just give us your names, please.
Stephanie Richard, Changing Seasons Engineering.
Brad Smith, Executive Director of the Alton Bay Christian Conference Center.
Great, thank you.
May I give the board just a brief recap?
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Chairman. Okay, so at the last meeting, there was an issue on noticing two individuals. So Stephanie came in and dropped off an updated waiver form and a letter that you should have in your packets requesting that sheets 1 and 2 be removed from the submittal. So that would take care of not having to notice the original plan preparer and the soil scientist. So in lieu of that, I believe you submitted the soils report to cover the fact that the soils wasn't indicated on, I think it was sheet 2,
Good
sheet
soil
1 or
there.
2.
Real good soil there.
And then there are additional waivers that they're requesting due to the fact that those 2 front pages are not being submitted. So you would have to just review those at design review. There's just a review of the waivers. You guys don't vote on them yet. But at least give them guidance.
I have no problem with the sheets being deleted because we've got to have those 14 times around here.
Okay, so I think we have the intent is obviously to add 3 cottages up here. And you clearly identified where you intend to put them. And I understand, you know, in the waivers, for instance, you guys have very strict rules about, you know, the size, the look and all of that of each of the cottages already. I think it would be helpful as we proceed to know what those restrictions and guidelines are for that, rather than just simply doing a flat waiver of the requirement.
For the look of the buildings, you're saying?
Yes, of the buildings, yes, yeah.
So that would be the elevation views of each side, general floor plan too, all that.
Yeah.
So do you want to specify which waivers that you're referring to?
Sure, if I have to.
11.
So that would be 4.01, F11 and F12.
The other one that I was wondering, why would we not want to know where the shoreline protection overlay district is and how the drainage is going to go? Because this is the bay,
Yes, I think,
lake and stuff.
yeah.
So is it or is it not located in
No,
the shoreline?
it's outside of the shoreline.
So the
Okay.
Then that should be on
250
an ultimate plan, where the shoreline 200-foot line is, right?
250 feet back
250, right?
Yep.
from,
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I'm down at the bandstand, 250 feet, these are beyond that?
The cottages are
These are up,
it's just beyond Route 11 is where
it's behind
that ultimate
the
line
golf
is.
course, basically.
Right.
Is it?
Go up over the
Sunset
hill,
Bank.
they're right there, in the burn area.
Oh.
Golf course, you mean the
Make it-
putting?
To make it easier for you, they just built
Yeah,
a
Brad
cottage
Hunter.
there this summer.
And-
These will stack up behind that one,
So to make
That was outside.
and that one's outside.
So to make things clear, you should probably add a note to the plan stating that it's, not located, it's not located within the shoreline protection overlay district.
And I presume, are these you have a septic system down,
Brand new one, yes.
brand new one down near where the old railroad yard used to be, just up on the bank.
Right.
Is this all gonna go into that?
Right.
Okay.
I guess we'd probably need to know some idea of what that loading is for that and what's currently on it. I mean, is
Whether,
that,
You know,
so would the state have to approve how many units are gonna go?
they already have given them a gallons per day and it's up to them to.
Yeah, the the design and the approval you have is for the whole 24 buildings built out, correct?
And what we're doing is we're limiting the bedrooms to 2.
Yep.
Any of the cottages that are being built. That's going to keep us within the leeway that we had.
So you have septic capacity to handle 24 total units?
Right, years ago, there was a proposal to put a
Yep.
whole bunch more buildings in
Right.
that area. That
Well
didn't
aware of
happen.
that.
You all know that, okay?
Yeah.
Now they just want to put the 3, but yeah, they have
At this time.
they have a system
that's,
that's plenty.
Yep.
Plenty sufficient for these.
Well, that'd be
small
good to make
cottages.
sure that that's documented in this.
Yep.
That you do have the capacity for it and it's a approved system.
I think they should put total gallons per day available where they stand at this point in time with the building of these 3 units.
Because 20 years from now, none of us are going to be here.
I don't know about you. but-
Hopefully I'm not sitting here, but I hope I'm still someplace else, Tom. I know they do. So we need to address these waivers.
Otherwise, the other ones,
We're just advising them on the right.
yeah, we're not
Oh,
voting
okay.
on anything. We're just advising.
Okay, great.
So,
Great.
I don't have a problem with 4, 7, or 9, or 24. That doesn't, I don't think, change much considering what, has been done in the past.
yeah,
In the drainage on these things, an easy thing would be to put a dry well in the ground. The soil is so good and just dump each roof into a dry well. I mean, that's just permit by notification.
For this size building, you ain't gonna get.
Yeah,
that
it's not gonna be much
off the
water,
roof Anyways.
but you're getting it back in the ground, which is good. And
So,
it costs them a small.
so the other thing that I saw
$500.
is that I think this would qualify as the aquifer protection district, the overlay district.
Probably
So
right.
this should show on there. That would be the latest USGS. We have a reference of how to find that, and we don't have a map in our,
We used to hang on the wall.
but it's a USGS map. So if you want to show that that's the aquifer district, I think there's actually a couple of big sandy gravelly units in there, different.
Yeah, that area is a good gravelly, right, Roger? Really
You know,
nice sharp gravel.
There's a esker underneath there and it's been buried in sand on top, so.
I always said it would make a great pit.
Can't do that.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I think I was looking at it today and there's an esker underneath there that goes all the way down to Route 140. And the railroad's on top of it at one point. So,
They knew what to do back then.
so that, anyway, it's in there. It should be shown.
Are the buildings, since this isn't field, buildings 20 feet apart or so? Is that what you're looking at?
20 feet, yeah.
So
So
you will
plan
need to-
3 should show the 20-foot separation a little bit zoomed in so that you can, well, even on these small plans, it's still a little small, but.
So you'll be using the cement side. Correct.
Not on those because we passed a policy at the conference center that if it's 20 feet or more, they're not required to have it. Anything that's closer than 20 feet has to have the hardy plank.
Okay, because I thought something was done in previous fire chiefs that required that. So,
Well, that was in the plan that we were doing for Beacon 10 years ago.
That was
part of
there.
the plan because that was going to be a larger cluster. That was going to be 26
right.
units in there. So they required.
I just thought
It
that
just got
all
done with the fire.
redoing, like Rogers, you put the cement siding on in places in there.
Yeah, but they're all less than 20.
Okay.
And that was before, if that was after the fire, they put that policy on. They've since removed it.
I think that was part of the issue from the fire department, that there was nothing for him to review as far as the building went.
Yeah,
That was-
I
that
think
was
you-
his
I think
comment.
you're gonna get pushback. I think that just gonna, think is the word I'm using, that the fire department's gonna want cement siding, at least on the sides that are adjacent to another house, another building. So I don't know that for a fact, but I know that's was the,
What has happened, we're just looking for the permission for the 3 lots to be able to build. As we sell, we retain rights to the land, so that there's tenants at will. But the right to purchase or the right to build is what we sell them. So those individuals will be coming before you.
right.
Their plan to be approved in the building department.
But, you know, this board's gonna realize that these are being built, so you just probably need to scope that out with the fire
Is that
department.
the case? That each of these people gonna have to come to the planning board?
No, they'll have
No,
to
no,
go to the
they-
building.
No,
department.
it's the building department.
Come to the
This is
building.
why we're doing this now.
Right.
If it gives them the right to do it, then they just go to building.
Right.
And we may be reducing the size also. I think when we did the plan, we were allowing a 24 by 36 building. We realized that we're losing some of the traditional flavor of the campground and letting some of the cottages get built bigger.
Yeah.
So the board is in the process now. They're going to reduce it. It's going to be a minimum or maximum 20 by 30, and it might be less than that in size.
And they have to be built by Sears.
Yeah. 1.5 floors. Because what was happening is
Back in
people,
the day.
they want to be there year round, and
Bigger and better.
that's not what we're about. I mean,
Yeah.
we just want to have the traditional cottage style look.
Do they have to build a tent deck first?
Yeah. That's why they realized that when that newest one was just built on the edge there, and they looked at it and they go, it's too big. That's not what we're looking. So they will be only allowed to have 1.5 floors, no more than 2 bedrooms.
That's, I think, really good policy on behalf of the town, and I think for yourselves.
Well, it keeps that character down there that.
Yeah, but also if somebody's above you, looking out, you don't see honkers.
Yeah, well, that was the whole idea of it.
There are enough in town.
So Jessica, in your review, you noted a couple of things here, and the PE stamp was indicated that it was provided, but not on here, but I mean, that'll come later, I assume, so.
That's fine.
The fire protection measures are being provided.
So that was,
that's
I
the
think
20,
that was,
that's the 20-foot separation of the buildings, in my opinion. But if there's other things that we need to address from the fire department, we can certainly do that.
so I wasn't sure. So my question was to the fact that it was located here on the checklist, and I wasn't sure exactly what that meant.
Yeah, that's it. The buildings are that minimum 20 feet.
Okay, yeah, I think that's more of a passive approach rather than an active. I think fire protection system implies, like a centralized fire alarm, a
Sure.
sprinkler system, and so
Okay.
just a little confusing, I think, on that.
Right, which, like he was saying, this is just a proposal to approve to approve the building of the 3 cottages. So it's a little different than your average site plan that you would have, your floor plan, everything.
But hopefully we'll get you all lined up so that when you do come through, it's just a snap.
You're basically replacing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost 42 in the fire, 42 cottages.
Quite a day. Quite a day.
Exciting.
I hate to say this, which fire are we talking about?
In
Easter fire.
2009.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the 60s fire, and then there's
The 38 fire or 34.
the 65 fire,
Yeah.
Been a lot of fires.
We don't have-
1865.
We don't have any intention of going with more cottages. That's not our intent. We're trying to kind of limit it now. Right now, we're up to, with these, it'll give us 134 cottages.
Wow.
And the 34 45.
45
It's
weeks.
200 cottages lost. So
Yeah, we had about 500 cottages in 45.
if you ever want to dig into some really good history, the history of the campground is pretty cool. It really is.
A lot of water over all of that.
Yeah.
So can I just clarify something on the waivers? Drew, 11 and 12, were you, is the board inclined to waive those? Or did you want something provided,
I would like to see something provided.
just some
but-
sort of
but
write-up or
Even,
something?
yeah, even if it's simply what your guidelines and limitations are within the center, that would work, I think, for me. I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but
If you do a floor plan, it's probably not, they're not going to design what someone else has designed. but
right.
I understand
So
that.
just having it all kind of laid out that, it's going to be the 1.5
Limitations.
stories, 750 square feet, that's all, I think, very helpful information.
And the
Story and a
thought that it was 1.5 stories, that's, I think, critical, plus the,
Well, I think for that type of building, it's a story and a half New Englander. That's a building style
And
already.
And it fits
And it
the
fits the
area.
neighborhood, yeah.
Right, maybe like adding that as a note on the plan, sort of, building criteria, and then maybe like a little list.
Yeah, sure, we'll do something like that.
Okay, and then, waiver number 26 actually isn't needed because it's not located in that district. So you would just add that as a note on the plan. So that waiver is actually really not needed.
Okay, I see what you're
Just
saying.
point that
yeah.
out, right?
And then we suggested adding a note regarding the septic's capacity and
Yep.
and location and type of drainage system elements. How did we leave that one?
Well, I thought that,
We should have some type of, whether it be
Show
a
some
dry
kind
well
of
or
a
something like
proposal,
that. I
sure.
mean,
Something
it's not
addressed.
gonna be, you can do the calcs on how much water is gonna come off those roofs.
Ain't gonna be.
600
much.
square feet
Okay,
is
it'll be
a
fine.
lot.
We can figure something out, certainly.
I got you, 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
and then we said the aquifer overlay district, right?
Say that?
The aquifer overlay district
Yes.
should be noted or shown.
Yep.
Yep, that was actually commented in the plan review.
Okay.
To what note or not note whether it's located in or not.
Does that, section 602 of zoning ordinance addresses anything in that area?
does.
It tells you
Actually-
how to find it. You gotta go
Yep.
find it.
Yeah,
Does that put us into any additional things to consider as far as drainage or anything like that?
No, because on yours, you can have in the aquifer district for a single family house, you can have a disposal system. If it's bigger than that, then you have to do more.
yeah, I just would suggest just reviewing
On
that
my
section.
project, all the
Sure.
roof drainage didn't require any engineering from the state, but the parking lot runoff did.
Right.
Right.
We do have a map in the office
Roof
that you
water,
can take a look
clean
at.
water.
And, yeah, okay.
I'm glad to see you guys.
Does that help?
Yeah, I guess what's the process from here?
An application.
So there
Sure.
were some comments from the water department.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I saw them in the email that I got. I just saw the note that,
One of the waivers was about the abutter list.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that
that's a-
needs to be
that's a
addressed as
horrible
well.
job.
So what does that mean?
So you guys should, right,
Notify abutters?
no, the requirement is that the abutters are shown on the plan. But there's 25 to 30, I don't know, a lot of abutters.
Requires
just-
small writing.
Just to show it on the plan gets a little bit cumbersome, so.
And technically, the abutters are outside this property because you guys will retain ownership of the land. So you're not requiring, taking any boundary lines. So the abutter is the one that's next door to them, but they own the land. So why, I mean, I don't think that they really
Yeah,
are subject to that. People outside the general property, which is a laundry list of,
It's a very long list.
yeah. Roger, you're aware.
But I'll make a note on this plan as was recommended in here that a butter list is part of the file at town
Yeah,
hall.
you probably, they're gonna have to notify all those people, right?
Right, and they were notified.
Yeah.
So what I think the reason for this request is the abutters were listed on the two sheets that they requested to get rid of.
Oh,
So now they're not listed on pages 3, 4, and 5. They were listed on pages, I think, the first page. So now that that's being requested to not be submitted with the application,
what if they did a list with saying parcel tax map such and such in the name of the list? Because maybe to fit all that on a plan might be,
right, well, we have the abutters list that's in the,
So
that's in the file.
yeah, they just
She's
put,
got the list.
So,
Yeah.
and we did that actually with another case, I don't know, a couple months back, that had to do with a Capitola property that had like 75 abutters. So that there was a note added to the plan,
yeah,
just, see the abutters list located in the
that's
planning
fine.
department.
Yeah.
and that way you have that.
Yes, I'll
already.
plan to do that
Yeah.
for sure, yeah. 'cause
Just
That's
go up.
already put together.
Yep.
But exactly, putting it on the plan, and like you say, it's not irrelevant, but they're not really as affected as.
What was the water department's comment?
The water department,
Yeah, I don't have the water department thing either.
yeah, it was probably in last month's packet.
Oh, that's probably why.
Yeah, let's see. So her comment was, all new homes are required to have a meter and remote reader installed and establish an account with the water department.
Yep.
New services need to be constructed to their specs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot
That's it.
of conversations with.
Okay,
It's
That was
always
it.
fun when you dig up there, you come out with something hanging.
Oh,
on, and
you
you
always
don't
find
realize it's
something.
there. Roger.
Another wooden
Roger
section.
likes that thing.
I've done it too.
Everybody's done it.
All right. Excellent. So,
And also, just as a word of, we should probably do some type of as-built, because sometime, somehow, something has got to be started, to be
Changed or
memorialized
moved over.
on your property there.
Yeah.
So, some people go there to look, they at least know where something is.
Yeah, that would be a bad idea. That has been brought back.
yeah,
Infrastructure or?
Well, no,
just
but
where
your
they
sewer
connect,
line and
what they're doing here, the sewer line goes here, and if they can
Water.
say go there, and then put a little zig line on it to know that it continues.
because
on.
you're always into something where it's moved
And the
over.
water line, where is that? I mean,
That way, an as-built, it's, you mark it as you're putting it in, so you know
So
you.
what are you talking, just for these 3 units?
yeah, just for these 3
Yeah.
units.
Yeah, just an
Just to
as-built.
start chipping away at it.
Does the water department have a map of where all their lines are?
Yeah.
yes,
So
They-
wouldn't they know,
They'd be
wouldn't they
adding-
know
they'd
that?
probably
We have
be
been
adding
working on
something.
that for the last
100 years.
3 years or so.
Yeah, but
No,
when
the
they-
last 3 years, we've been GISing them.
Yeah.
And mapping them down there. So we got everything on maps and we're GISing it now. So you'll be able to say the highway department goes to dig, they'll be able to look at right on the phone and say, okay, this is where it is.
So when they supply water service to these 3 units, they should have that information.
They'll add it right onto
Yeah,
the
but
maps.
it
down
also
there.
should be on these plans.
Okay.
Right.
As an as-built.
right.
Because that stays in the file forever,
Yeah.
that you guys have access to here, the water department has their.
So you're
own.
not requesting them to have a separate plan?
No.
You're
No,
requesting them
just put
to,
it on
Oh,
there.
just
no
an
say-
as-built.
on this
that's-
plan.
Yeah.
okay, just wanted to clarify that.
Well,
I mean, we're just giving them approval.
We're not giving any approval, we're just going to talk about.
We're
it.
just
I
doing
know
a,
when the plan comes in, I mean, we don't know where the water line is.
No, but that's why they do it.
that's why they do an as-built.
Because once it's built, they know where it is.
Once they built and they're installing it, it's marked on the print. Okay, this is where the line sits. So if
so that'd
5
be,
years from now, we gotta go up there and dig, it's on the as-built print that we can come and get and say, okay, this is where the line is, instead of trying to paw through everything.
That's
you're
what we-
saying that
that's what we-
they'll have an obligation to come back after. the
Then your
completion of the work to
memory
turn
may
that
have
in.
disappeared.
Well, we're not gonna be around someday.
Well, that's
you
what
know.
we've worked on this past year is mapping out all of our sewer lines, all of our
Yeah.
water lines up there, because we didn't have the same thing, and each time
It's
maintenance
hard.
directors and things moved on, we lost all that information.
Sure.
So when I became director, I says, no, we did a CAD drawing with
Get it
overlays,
Yeah,
with
smart move.
overlays that show all of those.
Yeah,
different
that way later on, whoever can go and they find, they know what they're digging for what building and
Roger has a good, he seems to find the.
He's a magnet.
yeah, but he,
I know where they are.
And if you don't, you'll find it quickly.
Yeah, because nothing's deep.
No, nothing steep. That's one good thing about most of them, where they're seasonal cottages, most things are near the surface.
If they're shallow, that's the other thing, is a lot of these electronic units can find them, track
Yeah,
them.
we've purchased a lot of those, so that's how we were able to find most of ours and map everything out.
Yeah.
Because it was crazy.
Of course, nowadays it's called cost of flat, so.
That makes
Put a
it-
metal tape.
You put metal in it, yeah.
Yeah,
Put a
but-
metal ribbon in it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I have
Stephanie, do you
another-
have any
Right.
questions on anything, or do you feel like you got a good grasp of what is expected?
Yeah, no, I guess
So-
not. So from here,
so-
we'll just submit the major site plan
Yeah,
application.
to be a final application.
Okay.
Do you have you need any help on anything? Just let me know.
Not right now. I'll
Yeah.
let you know if I do.
Okay.
I think we'll have to come back again on this.
Yep,
For another
yep, for a
meeting.
final, yes.
Do you know off the top of your head what due dates are? Do you have that in front of you? I know where to look it up.
It's on the
but-
website.
That's fine.
It's
I can
2
look
weeks
at it.
before our meeting.
No, it's more than
3
that.
weeks.
Thank you.
It's 3 weeks
Yeah.
before the next meeting.
That's what you said, wasn't it, Tom?
End
3
of the
weeks?
month, end of every month.
I'm glad to see you guys
Yeah,
doing that.
Since we meet on the third Tuesday of the month.
Yes. Sometimes the planners just have it right here.
She's got so much going through her brain right now. Please don't tax it.
I can give you that date. So 1, 2. The deadline is November 30th.
Tom said, the end of the month.
Clairvoyant.
That's 3 weeks before the next meeting.
All right.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy.
Go home now. Have a good night. Have a good Thanksgiving.
We have a patient person. Please.
All right,
Come up and
so
join us.
next is case P 2129, completeness review of application and public hearing if application is accepted as complete. You must be Belinda McLean.
Yes, I am Belinda McLean.
All right, and this is to open up a hair salon as a home business in Gilman's Corner.
Yes,
All right. So if you give us a few minutes as we kind of go through this.
please do.
I really.
Huh?
I guess we wait till we accept the,
Yeah, good to determine whether the application is complete. That's our first motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept P 2129 as complete.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? There we go. All right.
I agree with John Deaver's comment, which is the same thing as 2 houses down the street.
Yep.
I drive by you every day, so I know the
Oh, so you know
location.
what I've been through there too.
I'm on the back. Well, the only reason there are all those reports in the back,
I'm sorry?
the only reason that there are all the reports in the back here from the police and whatnot
Yes.
is simply because it was once a drug house.
Nuh-uh.
No.
Yes, it
Well,
was
it's-
raided several times.
No, my house? How many years ago?
Sure you got the right house?
Yeah, 10?
No, my house has never been raided.
I believe so.
By whom?
I don't think that's a conversation that we need.
Yeah, we don't need to have that conversation now,
Well,
so
No, not your house, the house that you were in.
we're in the
I've been in
present.
that house for almost 20 years.
That's the Sanborn house, right?
It was a Sanborn house. It used to be Sanborn's garage as well, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no drug raids at my house. I mean, I've had some issues at that house.
Wasn't there
nothing like
somebody
that.
between you and the Sanborns?
All right,
Okay.
all right, let's get this,
You
Tom,
can stop by and we can talk
Tom.
anytime over tea.
Tom, let's get this back on track.
It's
so.
all good.
All right, okay, so I think there was,
There's one comment, I think, from Ryan Heath.
Yeah, that doesn't have to do with completeness, though.
no, we did complete
just
this.
did
We've already
complete
voted that it's
We haven't
Oh,
complete.
voted.
sorry.
So
Wait, that's-
Sorry, it's been a long night.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
moving around here.
For me too.
So what I read was,
Sit
and I
watch.
don't know, just ask about it, is that he said that was wondering about the loading on the septic system.
Yeah, there's a question about the number of occupants.
Yeah, well, a 3-bedroom house is 450 gallons a day, and I looked this up tonight, for 150 gallons per chair with 20 gallons per occupant, per operator. So it would require 170 gallons more than what's on here a day.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
Please.
When people come to me and get their hair cut, I usually spray them down with a water bottle. There isn't a lot of water and the septic will be pumped more if necessary. It's not, the only thing that I'm basically rinsing is color off of people's hair. And also, the last thing I want to happen at my home is for my septic to fail.
Yeah,
Understood.
nobody wants
completely.
that.
Right.
But there are things that the state has the regulations and you can challenge them
Yeah.
and beat them. I've done it. But currently it shows 150 gallons a day for a chair.
I'm not doing that. I
That's-
gotcha. I understand.
we
Well,
can't
yeah, I know,
change
but
that.
they also designed the septics. What is it per bedroom? It's
50 gallons, and there's not a chance in this earth that you use that kind of water. But, and these regs are all 1972 regs.
Yeah.
And they have no intention of changing them
Yeah,
because
no, they're
I'll just
extremely
use the laundromat
conservative.
As a, for instance, they want 500 gallons a day per machine, and I had to give them water meter readings on what we use. So, and I'm sure she hasn't got a water meter on her well.
Right, yeah.
So,
So how many, so it would be the number of bedrooms,
which is 450 gallons a day for a 3-bedroom
Three
house.
bedroom.
bedrooms house, and then whatever the.
150 gallons a day per chair and 20 gallons per occupant.
So that
Per
says
operator.
that that's exceeding it by.
Right. And I wouldn't recommend having them build this, but I would recommend if possibly is getting a design, approved design that will encompass this. And then she goes on, because that's what John's done time and time again.
So well, you're saying that, go ahead, but just get a design that would give it the extra volume.
If needed.
If the
If
bed
it fails.
fails,
If it fails.
then she'd have it ready to go.
Yeah, the design's ready to go.
That way
it's-
she-
it's
that way you
only
don't have to
me.
build- huh?
It's only me too. It's just me.
You don't rent rooms.
No.
But the thing about it is I appreciate that, but the state regs go by number of bedrooms.
Right.
And if you have a 3-bedroom house, you can't hide from anything but the 150 gallons a day.
Somewhere about a room for rent and.
I don't do that
That-
anymore.
And even if she did that, that's
not-
just,
it's not
that's
even
part of the
happening.
150 gallons a day.
It's the number of bedrooms plus the number of chairs,
Right.
and then so.
It's 150
So if
gallons
you
per
can get a
chair.
design in case the bed does fail, you're all set. You can
Yeah,
just.
just get a
Right,
design
and
and
it's-
get it approved and then just put it on the shelf.
And it's figured that even if the rooms, if they're rented or not rented, it's the bedrooms in the house.
Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, therefore you don't have to do the expense of putting in the leach field.
No, you just,
I don't understand.
you get a septic design. So if your leach field, if the septic fails, you have an approved design. All done.
to
A
install
design
it.
doesn't mean
Open
you
the
have to
business.
build it.
Right.
Right. You just
And a
have to have
design
it.
costs $10,000.
No, no.
Oh,
God, no,
About
no.
$1,500.
Yeah.
And then 300 to the state, gotta pay the governor.
Well, here's the other.
For the
problem. That's only
approval.
good for 4 years.
Yeah, but the thing about it is we know that at that point in time that the land will support
That is feasible.
the extra gallonage.
So there's one person living in the home and there's one chair hair salon.
That doesn't make
It's
any
still not even,
difference. That
it's
doesn't
not
make
even
any
working.
difference. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it doesn't matter. It's because you have
to
three
go by
bedroom
law.
home and a hair salon
And
with
you-
a single chair.
Can you de-designate a bedroom into another room?
Oh,
No.
You know,
The thing about it is it's here in our own plan.
this is set for a 3-bedroom house. So you can't change what they've approved, but you can, if you have a septic design done,
Then you're good.
this gets approved, you go to work in your salon. And if something happens, then your septic's all
If you're not
designed. you
using
just
any
put
more
it in.
water than you have been, there's not gonna be any issues.
Not.
Yeah.
Right.
And if I shampooed every client that came into my salon, that would be one thing too, but that's not even happening. And it's not the capacity of the people that are arriving are, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 people a week. You know, it's not.
That's not how it's factored.
Yeah.
You know,
So the state has to obviously create some sort of criteria and guideline, and that's what they're applying, and that's what we're looking to apply. So I think that it's a reasonable request, and I mean, this is an opportunity as well. I mean, you always got to look at the bright side, but maybe you want to put in for 2 chairs, plan for the future in your septic design, so that you are more than covered. You know, just a thought.
Yeah.
So
I
if you
did
ever
it
wanted to
because I actually
expand
did
the
it because of
business.
COVID.
Yeah.
don't blame you.
Because people don't really want to go to a hair salon because of COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, they rather have a single party in a small setting kind of a situation. So
Yeah.
that's why I did it.
So with, so you say 25 customers a week roughly, is what you?
Yep.
And so the parking is adequate?
Perfectly adequate.
no problem.
There's
Not at
plenty of
all.
parking there.
No, not at all.
Just the first house on the right on
Yes.
Drew Hill.
Yep.
No, no, I'm
Right next to
On
Finnegan.
Gilman's Corner Road.
I live right
Gilman's
in,
Corner, Infinity.
Yep, right.
Yes.
She's the corner lot.
And you've been there for 20 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
What happened? Were you married?
nope.
And the guy with the boats and all that,
Oh, that's all gone.
I can't think of his name.
That's
So
who cares? I'm
She took
good.
care of that.
So
Yeah, that's a dead
I think
issue.
you're going into an area you don't need to.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was to
Oh, God.
Let's not get to
I don't
Tom's
know
point.
why I'm that this is the topic of conversation, drugs and being married. Okay.
apparently there's some stigma
I
attached to
don't
this
know.
particular
I don't know if the
property.
house is haunted somehow or what it is, but
So you have a
We just don't
sign,
need to go there.
you have a sign that's 3 feet by 1.5 feet, that's something.
I'm just gonna hang it on a tree. I've got the
Is
perfect
it
tree.
lighted?
I'm sorry.
Is it lighted?
Will you hang
It will
from a
be. I
tree?
will light it. Yes. With solar lights.
That's down like that?
Correct.
Yeah, I just, but I can see just as a potential of running into a jam with the rules. So if you do like what Virgil says, just get a design done. I think you're good to go.
And so I have to find somebody to do the design.
Yep. There's several of them around locally in town.
We have a list in the office that I can provide to you.
Thank
There
you.
you go. Matter of fact, your neighbor to the backside is a designer.
I'm not sure who that is. I don't.
The other hairdresser, her husband,
Oh,
Vashon,
Yes.
yeah.
Vashon.
that's all right.
Okay.
I don't know them. But thank you.
He knows the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from the board?
This is.
Missing anything?
Doing business.
Jessica?
I think she has everything. She came
Yeah.
in and I sat with her and we went over everything
Yeah, you got,
through the checklist, made sure everything was on the plan.
And Jessica's a great
Pretty good.
asset. I have to give it to her.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
She does a good job.
She's a good girl.
don't say too much. We'll have to give her a raise.
You probably should.
Oh, she's gonna get it.
Considering what I'm going through sitting here, you should. Because I feel like I'm on the chopping block.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just gonna go for the gusto here.
Wait,
'cause-
wait,
Oh,
hold on.
oh, public input.
So, yeah, public input, please.
There's nobody here.
We have to ask.
Hello?
We have a ghost that lives in the barn.
I'm sure I have one at my house too.
Jesse
All
had
right,
something.
So, yes, so public input and there's active and substantial development or building and substantial development substantial completion of improvements. So you have to come up with a couple thresholds.
1 year.
Okay. So, well, let's do the public session, opening for public session. Any public comments? Hearing none, closing public session. Okay. So,
Do,
yeah, I mean, a
obtain
year.
a sign permit.
Yeah, you probably
Yeah.
put a shingle out, right?
I'm sorry?
You'll probably put a sign out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would say that
You guys have to come and get your hair cut.
septic,
Not me.
Yeah, because that will be.
Can we do this conditionally based on,
Yeah, well, just with conditions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I added, obtain and provide approved septic design.
In 1 year does that sound good for?
I
That's
think-
To
I think
obtain
that's-
a sign.
It's plenty.
Like I said too, I understand where you're coming from, absolutely, but if I actually made I am very attuned to the property and my septic. So I actually get my septic pumped every 2 years.
That's what the state
Right,
recommends.
well, right, so if it's necessary, like I said, because the last thing I want to happen is for it to fail.
Yeah.
Because that's all, it's brand new, it is not that old. The septic design that's there, it had to be done before the house was purchased. So it's
Jeez.
not an old septic at all. I don't know where the design is in the town.
05,
It's a date, Raj.
John would have it.
Yeah,
2005.
Yeah, you guys have a copy of
Yeah.
the approvals.
so I mean, it is a newer system,
And that was installed.
correct?
Yeah.
So, probably your least costly way out of this is to find a copy of this thing, who designed it, and I bet you they can make whatever necessary modifications.
Well, I would have to find out from Jessica because that information.
Paul
is on-
Gelinas.
Yeah.
It's right on, right on.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
Okay, would somebody, I wish I had a pen and a piece of paper.
8596501.
Yeah, that's him.
Let me give you a copy of my copy.
Right by the elementary school in the Durham.
Yeah, that's the son that's doing it now.
Yeah, but I remember going there, 859.
6501.
In my system.
That's just 17 years old. It's 3 years.
So, Paul Gelinas was the one who did it.
Okay,
So you can.
so that may be an inexpensive way out of it for me to.
Yeah, because he's already
Ask
got,
him
he's
just
got
to
all the
check.
soils, test pits. He's already got all that information.
This is Paul Junior, so make sure you ask for Paul Junior.
Okay. Okay,
Because it's Paul Senior who does the same thing.
Yeah, but Paul Senior's
He's
not
retired.
doing anymore.
Yeah, he's retired.
so he can just modify the design that he already did.
Yeah, should be a fairly
Probably close to
inexpensive
30.
prospect for you.
So he
Okay.
lives right in my
I
apartment.
appreciate that.
Probably he and his mom.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 1
by the way,
year
that's right on the front.
on that, and
Thank you.
No problem.
the,
Well, technically, it's 24 months. So what you really would be putting down is just that she would obtain a sign, her sign permit.
Yeah.
okay,
Thank you.
I come to you for that, right, Jessica?
You go to the
Building
building department.
inspector.
Okay,
Yep.
next window
Next
over.
window over,
Yeah.
yeah.
Same place.
okay.
15 feet
You
away.
can say hi when you get there, but
I'll bring you a copy.
All right. You want to make the move?
I'll do it. What's that, Raj?
You said 24 months, Jess?
So
'Cause this says otherwise.
active and
otherwise
substantial
approved.
development or building. And the other threshold is substantial completion of improvements. So if you're looking at the last page on page 7 of the planner review,
Yeah.
number 1 is within 24 months of the date of approval. So that gives 24 months to have some active or substantial development or building to tie into that 5-year exemption on regulations and ordinance changes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, on case P 21-29, I'll move to approve the site plan for the beauty shop with active and substantial development within 24 months and conditions precedent and all that stuff, providing a septic design that will encompass the additional loading, but it does not have to be built at this time. It's used only in the case of failure of the current septic system.
So is that
A go, it's a go.
It's an approved design, state approved design. We got to know that it can happen.
Modification, whatever.
How many acres are you there?
I think it's about an acre and a little over an acre.
Yeah, so that soil up there is a little marginal, so you're probably gonna get about 1,500 gallons an acre
Yeah, it's about.
capable up there, so you'd be fine.
Okay, so we have a motion
The second.
and Virgil seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
There you go.
There we go.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. So it means I can work, right?
Well, you gotta get that septic design.
Right, and I have to get the sign
Yeah.
permit.
So at this point, I'll mail you a notice of decision that will capture all of what was talked about tonight. So that
Okay,
you know, like what to do.
and tomorrow I'll get on the horn with Jelinas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll
Get that
send you
taken
that
care of.
list.
Yep, I'll do that immediately and I'll come and do the sign thing this week
Okay.
too. Absolutely. Because I've got to get going. I mean, I have to work.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Okay,
Good luck.
thank you, you guys. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night. Thanks for staying this late.
Thanks for hanging out.
All right, so moving along under other business, old business, I'm showing none. New business, approval of meeting minutes.
Are
So
we changing something to 1B?
I don't have them.
We did it already.
Yep, we
Yeah.
did that.
Okay,
So, I don't have minutes for you tonight to
Okay,
approve.
that's why I don't.
Shucks.
Big site, psych.
I was slightly busy with everything else this
Yeah,
month.
you've done it a lot of
Yeah,
work.
yeah, this has been
Must be
a
like a
couple of
cracker
months that have
jack
been a
in
little
Excel now.
wild.
It's in here Saturdays and Sundays.
I don't know how you separate it between the differences. I mean, my mind would just be blown. I mean, it's not just us. It's
Zach, CIP,
It's
everything.
Juggling,
Yeah.
he juggles it all.
Zoning.
people that come in and out.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all I have to say. It's just, thank you for appreciating that.
And realizing it. I mean, it's.
And we can still talk to her. She's sane.
Relatively.
She almost got a 2x4 earlier. Her face was getting
Relatively,
like
yeah.
out of my hat.
Okay, so correspondence, we did that one for 3A and then 4, correspondence with the board's information. I think all we had tucked in there was like the latest invoice from Tara or Tara,
Correct.
however you pronounce her
Oh,
name.
there is one more item
Oh,
to discuss. Under any other business to come before the board.
I haven't
Number
gotten there
2.
yet.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
number
sorry.
2.
Yeah,
So,
hold your
uh,
horses, Jess.
I
So,
got it.
yeah, so any other, I know, huh? So any other business, I'm trying to follow an agenda here. Any other business to come before the board? We've already discussed that CIP. We did that. So number 2 was the board to vote on whether non-year-round residents may sit on committees. So this recently came up. And there's a person who's a property owner who was participating in the ZAC committee meetings and really wanted to be
Short-term rental.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
wanted to be on the committee. And I think, Jessica, you've done some research on this, right? And
I did. So I did a little bit of research. I looked through all of the minutes when we created CIP, when we created master plan, when alternative housing was created, and all of the comments in there that have to do with having citizen members or at-large members only indicate that there was no indication that they had to be year-round residents.
Taxpayers.
Didn't we?
So-
run into this problem years ago?
So my concern, so I don't know really a lot of the history or exactly why that was made, but my concern is if you're not a year-round resident, you're not here, you may not be here the entire time that a committee is holding meetings.
And that
That's a
was,
concern of mine.
but that years ago, we ran into that problem that people were going away in the committees. You had 1 or 2 people that were in on the committee. The rest of them were away for 2, 3, 4 months.
Right.
And now you don't have a
And
quorum.
we had the,
Right.
yeah, and the
Right.
committees were
Well,
getting all
And,
screwed up.
and
You
with
also
that,
have the situation with Levy Park. You have to have a summer resident as one of the commissioners. So someone who's not a year-round resident,
But that
Well,
was
Levy
probably,
Park.
that was Levy's,
that was our requirement.
that was,
Right.
that was
Yeah,
his.
yeah,
that was
that's
his
separate
requirement.
But I mean, I'll tell you this, I serve on 2 committees in Quebec because they wanted a summer resident. I'm a property owner,
Lucky them.
but they need a resident, a summer person to represent other people.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's an important feature. And in particular, this person, I think, would be extremely valuable.
I think it
Other,
depends on what committee you're on. If you're doing your committee through the winter and they're gone,
well, this is a person who would be
Well,
able to come and go.
What are the chances of zooming it?
Exactly.
oh, that's true.
So one of the things. that-
Apparently not very good.
thank you, yeah, because it, there
So,
are glitches.
So I'm on the Lakes Region Conservation Trust Board, and we have a lot of people who go to Florida in the wintertime. We're running the board members are right there on the screen. We talk to them. They can't escape now.
Exactly.
So the
Yeah, I never
technology
thought of
has
Zoom.
changed. I think that
Right.
that's concern for somebody who owns property in the town, who's a taxpayer. Why can't they be on a
They
committee?
should have a
Yeah,
right to be on it.
and they argue that point
I
all the
never
You
time.
need
thought of
that
it.
perspective
I
too.
have no representation. I pay these taxes and I have no representation.
Yeah.
This.
Island people, things like that. You need that point of view.
Yeah, I never thought
I
of Zoom.
personally don't have a
My,
problem.
I mean, my take on it though is that they have the opportunity to attend the meetings, to be a voice that is heard at the meetings, to influence these committees and contribute in that manner. It doesn't mean that they have to be on the committee in order to contribute and be heard.
No, but
They're still part of the community, even though they
Right.
don't vote here.
I think
They've
that
owned-
we-
if they've
I-
owned
I
property.
think that's a contradiction, though. I mean,
Yeah.
you're saying they're part of the community just because they own a piece of property here doesn't mean that they're a part of this community. They could be that guy who bought this piece of property just so that he can use it for an Airbnb or short-term rental.
True. But these are
So-
participatory people. Rather than somebody who doesn't want to participate.
Right.
I don't know if they can do it by Zoom. I say let them on because
Yeah.
we have enough trouble getting volunteers to help with the
Right.
committees.
And that was kind of
They-
one of my other
I mean,
points.
when I said that, because I know years ago we had trouble with, but we didn't have Zoom.
Right.
Yeah,
So it was always allowed,
Imagine that.
it was always allowed non-residents in the past on other committees?
No, because
No,
they
it
were
hasn't
gone
been.
so much that
Okay.
we never, the
See,
committees.
But
ended
I'm
up
just saying,
falling
was there any
apart.
language?
The planning board had trouble at
I
one
haven't seen
point
any
with people
language,
leaving in the
no.
wintertime.
Well, I have gone away and I will be going away
right, and you go away at
for a short
times.
time. I mean, but that's why we've got Bill and a few others.
Right, I mean, it's different with the board because your alternates have to be,
But you know
Absolutely.
when we're going to go.
Right.
I think that when you're being appointed to a board, I think, one of the questions you can ask, are you going to be available for all the meetings?
absolutely.
If you're going to be away, will you commit to participating by Zoom? That's all you have to do.
Right. And just to clarify that statement, it's not a board that we're talking about. It's a committee.
Committee.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, just, yeah.
But even a board, I mean,
Well, I think that gets some murky waters there to have a non-resident be on a board. I think gets a little.
Right.
possibility.
Yeah, by law, you have to be a year round, you have to be a voting
A registered.
member
Right.
of society.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so somebody lives here, goes to Florida wintertime, they're registered to vote here.
But even if they're not registered to vote here,
Right, so that's
for
the
a committee.
question.
Well, it's different
For a
between.
For a
For a
committee,
committee, yeah. it's
for a
different
board, you have to be registered to vote. For a
Yeah.
committee, that's the question.
But
Right
either
now.
way, I think it ought to be more inclusive, not less inclusive.
Yeah.
Right,
And the other thing too, is if they're willing to serve, it shows a perspective of that they're wishing to participate or have something to contribute.
Well, which means when they're here, they'll probably do more with the town too.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I tell you, we have got to sort out whatever these Zoom hiccups are that we keep running into, though, if we're gonna consider this.
Send Josh a letter saying, we want new computers, we want new everything, we want Zoom to work.
And we'll
I
tell
think
Josh
he
to
already wrote
contact the
that letter to
selectmen.
us.
CIP plan.
Yeah, Jess is tied to the hand crank on the side.
Just so you know.
Waiting for, I've got a new string.
Waiting for selectmen's
can.
approval.
Right, here's your can, here's your can.
So one of the things that really works, and Squam Lakes Association is doing it, and we're doing it as well, LRCT,
Put it in there.
is
So
we're
can we-
getting,
Not ours.
we're
Yeah, hang
getting,
on, guys.
we're
Guys.
getting a big screen, a big TV screen, not one of these. Okay, so it's just like another monitor on your computer,
Right.
and it works fantastic. And they have the cameras on it, so everything looks like you're in the same room basically.
Okay,
And
Jess,
I
put in
think
for a
that-
90
I
inch
think the
screen.
cost was
That one ain't
the
big enough.
cost was $1,700
He said that's the problem.
Really?
for a meeting, room, right?
No, the problem is.
Because those
you
big
can't get
screen
onto Zoom.
TVs are cheap, relatively cheap.
Yeah, good. I can't wrap my head around that, but yeah,
Probably change.
wow, okay.
So it can be done.
Um,
It's just gonna cost some money.
Oh, gosh.
okay.
All right, so the consensus of the board is yay or nay on
Yay.
allowing non-resident.
Yeah.
Can we have an official motion?
I make a motion that we allow
Resident, non-resident taxpayers?
non-resident taxpayers to serve on committees.
I second.
Question,
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Now you
why
can talk.
were vacant?
Because.
This is our
because
committees.
That,
Committee comes under
We're a
planning
board,
board.
That
we're not a
Zach-
committee.
Yeah, but we
But we have a
oversee those
subcommittee.
committees. We have all those committees that we oversee.
CIP and everything is through planning board, not through any other office, it's through the planning.
See, we had two things. One was Zach and the other one was the Alternative Housing Committee. Those are two committees that we had, subcommittees of this board.
Master plan, CIP, all that's all through.
I'll
here.
second that.
Did you second that?
Yep.
Yes.
So Virgil seconded it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Somebody,
You can third it.
and we have a third, so if we get a few more, fourth, fifth, sixth, we're done.
Voted.
All right, so
Yay.
all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye, 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 aye.
All right, and I'll entertain one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that
Nice
was
job, Jess.
Scott, Roger, second.
So
Yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you, Tricia.
Sign this.
Yes.
Would you like-
Yeah, give me.
See you, Raj.
But it's blue.
Thanks for the information on the
Yeah.
dark lights.
Shop, because, place to stay down there?
We stay at a place called Estate Lindholm in
yeah.
St. John.
Oh, St. John.
Yeah, just
16.
just fly St. Thomas. and you
Yeah,
take-
it is.
then
The
you-
airport in St. John.
I always flew to Puerto Rico and then would take a Print Air. I don't know if Print Air is still in existence.
It's Virgin Air now, out of Cape Air rather.